Welcome to the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dilz, and with me every single week is Deagin.
Hey, how's it going?
A very special episode this week. We finally hit level 99 in the podcrafting skill, so we have a very special Q&A later on in this episode. But as for news, we will be talking about another soft launch for the Nordic countries for old school RuneScape Mobile, some more information on the Deadman mode Autumn Finals and Winter Seasonal, some changes to the farming bush yields, as well as UI improvements for both mobile and the PC client. And we get a new app dropped on us for the new RuneFest 2018 and the Golden Gnome nominations within the mobile app. And for community chatter this week, one of the winners for King of the Skill finally received their goodie bag, so we can see what exactly is inside the prize bag. An Ultimate Iron Man gets PK'd in the wilderness. A content creator, or more specifically, a video creator, comes under fire after a controversial video on YouTube. And during the past Q&A, Jagex releases exactly how much money was removed from the duel arena after the taxing was added. But before we get into all that fun stuff, Deagin, what did you do this week? I know it's been a very exciting week, so let's get into it.
So I have moved finally. So I didn't really do anything last week. I played a little bit of WoW. I think I logged into RuneScape maybe twice, but I would jump on, do my daily world quest stuff for WoW, all that crap, the daily stuff, and then pretty much prep for the move. And now I gotta finalize and set everything up, and then get everything all sorted. And so hopefully at some point this week I should have everything all figured out. If not, soon, I guess, I'll be able to get in the rhythm, get back on that RS grind. I'm still actually sick as fuck, though. I'm probably so nasally right now. Yeah, so I apologize if I sound, super plugged up.
Well, I think some of the biggest news this week is where exactly you moved.
Oh, have I not said it before?
No, this isn't something we kind of jumped into, because it was kind of up in the air on what was actually going to happen.
Yeah. But yeah, so now I moved in with Dilz. We're in the same place now. We kind of have a little studio in the kind of in the making, I guess.
Yeah, this is the first episode that we're recording. I don't want to say live, but we're actually in the same room. Before we would do it over the interwebs.
Yeah.
So now we're actually in the same room, which kind of brings in a whole new sort of problems, just with two mics being in the same room. And we have cords literally running everywhere, which makes things a little bit tricky. So if things sound a bit different this episode, it's because we're actually figuring out how we're going to be doing this. Because before setting this up, I wasn't really sure what kind of problems we had. And then, so today we kind of hooked everything up. And then, yeah, I realized, well, this is going to be a little bit tricky to figure this one out. So we're just running right through it. It's kind of a throwback to our first episode, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah. Well, we'll have the sound figured out by 100 for sure.
Hopefully.
Gonna have to, I don't know, move things around. We'll get it all set.
It's going to be a bit of a learning curve. Anyways, what'd you do video game related? Did you do anything else besides moving in?
I played a tiny bit of WoW, 10 minutes a day or whatever, to get my world quest done. That's kind of it, though. Just kind of prepping everything for the move. I didn't really do much. Jumped into RS, did my flips. That's about it. Yeah. So I've done nothing really.
Wow. So that's your week pretty much summed up here?
Yeah. What'd you do?
Oh, my week. So, well, I guess it's also been a pretty big week for me because Friday was my last day at my job, which is nice, I guess. It took up a lot of my time. It took up a lot of my energy. So I freed that all up, prepping for school in a couple weeks. So that's going to be a huge change in, I guess, just my lifestyle, which also means I got to find another part-time job. But we're going to roll with that. We'll see how things go. And then besides that, yeah, helped you move this weekend. And as far as RuneScape goes, not a whole lot. A little bit of raiding, some Vorkath, a bit of fletching. Played a little bit more Monster Hunter, because you talked me into that last week.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, besides that, I guess it's been a busy week, but not podcast content busy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So on that note, I guess we should just jump right into it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Alrighty, so since Deagin is all stuffed up with his good allergies and sinus and whatever the hell it is, I think I'll try covering the news this week. And it's not something I've done for since episode 5.
Throwback. Big throwback.
All right, first things first. The old school RuneScape mobile soft launch has finally been introduced into the Nordic countries. So it seems like Canada was successful, and now they've moved on to Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden. So if you live in any of those countries, you can now play on the Android client with a free-to-play account. So not a whole lot of news going there. It's just kind of another step in the right direction to release the full OSRS Mobile client.
Now, with the soft launch, do you think America's going to be first or like the UK?
Like for the next one in line, or out of the two of them?
Out of the two, which one do you think will be first?
Probably the UK, only because the population, it's smaller, right?
Yeah, I've always assumed that the majority of RS players are from the UK.
It seems that way, but at the same time, it's hard to say because I meet a lot of people who are from the States as well.
Yeah.
So the UK population is at 65.6 million. That's in 2016. So unless they had a huge boom in like children being born in the past 2 years, we're probably looking around the same number. Whereas the US population, 325 million, 2017. So yeah, I could definitely see the UK being next.
I guess it just depends on how many players from each region actually play RS.
Honestly, I bet the next soft launch will either be Australia or Germany.
See, I was thinking Australia or like Lithuania type area.
Maybe.
Like one of those areas. Venezuela? Dude. If they released it in Venezuela, oh my god.
I don't think they could soft launch in Venezuela. There'd be so many people playing that.
Yeah.
Shit, the servers would crash.
I think if they were just to release it in Venezuela at all, like they'd lose so much money. Because like all the gold that's be sold in the game, no one's be buying bonds. Gold will be so cheap.
Yeah, they may as well add that to the Google Play Store. They have the bonds added.
Yeah.
May as well just add gold straight up.
Yeah.
But anyways, with that news about the Android client, the iOS signups have been closed. So August 30th, 10,000 more players will be invited to that beta test. And they don't have an actual date of when that beta test will be ending. So if you're an iOS user, hopefully you signed up. And if you get accepted, well, hopefully it's a long enough time. If I were to guess, it seems like they're trying to get the mobile client fully ready for RuneFest, which is when they would release it.
Yeah, I feel like, and guess what? Mobile's officially out. Everyone's like, oh, no way, Jagex, you the best.
Boo! It's probably looking at, or a lot of winter 2017 memes would be thrown out there.
Yeah, the 3 RS3 players that show up will be booing.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on with the RS3 client.
Yeah. I mean, at this rate, the game will be dead before mobile actually comes out.
I can't even imagine how that game's going to play. The interface on the PC clutters so much. I can't imagine on the phone.
If anything, it's just Squeal of Fortune. That's all you could do on your phone. Just do the squeals.
So next, we're going to be talking about the Deadman mode, Autumn Finals, and Winter Seasonals again. So last week, we talked about some of the items that they'd be bringing into the game, the Vestas, Stadiuses, and Morgan's armor and weapon sets. And they've kind of given us some numbers as well, and also maybe some more gear. So last week we talked about how you can get some of the PvP armors that filled that blog way back. They'd be coming from Wilderness Monsters. And they kind of clarified a bit more by saying they will be added to the Wilderness Global Loot table, but the chance of receiving these items are relative to the combat level of the NPC. So obviously the higher level the monster is, the better the chance of getting the item. Okay, so it says here the Ancient Warriors equipment are tradable and do not degrade. So I thought the Ancient Warriors was a new set of armor they'd be bringing in.
Oh, they just rephrased it.
That's what that's the term they're using for these new armors. So first thing, Vesta's longsword. Its highest attack stat will be slash at 121 with a melee strength of 118. And it will require an attack level of 78 to equip.
Oh my god, is that a new tier?
It's a new tier.
Oh, power creep, get that shit out.
So quickly, just for comparison, the rapier has a stab bonus of 94. So the Vesta's longsword is at 121 slash. And the strength of the rapier is 89, whereas the Vesta's longsword is 118.
implying that like the person who's like using this has like a glory, which is decently obtainable in the final week. Barrel gloves, which is really easy to get. And then dragon boots, with just those, like no fire cape or anything like that. And this longsword, they'll be able to hit 50s. Just base. Oh, sorry. Super strength, piety. Yeah. 99 strength as well. So like, because there are people like Mika and stuff that are max combat for the final hour. And there are a lot of people that will like get the resources. So I don't think it's like too much of a stretch to assume at the end of the, or during the final hour that they have piety, 99 strength, like D boots, a glory, and barrel. Like the barrel gloves, like are super, super easy to get. But yeah, with the Vestas, you'd be able to hit a 50.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. I just looked up the God Sword, strength bonus of 132. So this just has like a little bit lower than the God Sword, but it's going to be hitting a lot more often.
Yeah, what's the attack rate?
5.
Okay.
And yeah, the special attack, it'll cost 25% special. A successful hit deals anywhere between 20 and 120% of your standard max hit. The accuracy of this attack is rolled against 25% of your opponent's defense. So it seems pretty strong. We'll see how it plays out. Again, this is Deadman mode, so in the base game, balancing issues would be a lot different.
So I feel like these are going to be, like, that alone, like, this is obviously way better than a whip.
Yeah, well,
like,
the Garazi Rapier has the highest strength, doesn't it, right? For a one-handed weapon?
I guess so, yeah. But, like, you know, like, usually, like, you know, I mean, not usually, always the whip is, like, the go-to item for Deadman mode, because it's the best, but, like, this is the best. I'm assuming it's going to be, like, next to impossible to get, or they're expecting you to get them from the drop crate thingies.
Yeah, could be.
Because they always, like, oh, here comes the loot crate, and it's, like, some, like, level 34 noob that's, like, in, like, Addy plate body. They're like, no, look, he's got an Infernal Cape.
Yeah.
Nice. Like, I think they, like, really want clans to be fighting over these. I think that's, like, their intention.
It will be slower than an Abbey Whip.
By, like, 1 game tick.
Yeah, so it'll be as fast as Leaf-Bladed Battle Axe, Scythe of Vitur.
Yeah, Leaf Bladed is, like, if you're a PKer, like, that gives you a really good idea, because the Leaf Bladed is, like, a pretty good, like, tri-bird weapon if you're just poking with it.
So yeah, it does seem like it'll be pretty strong. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the tournament. Next weapon, Vesta's Spear. So its highest stat will be 133 in stab, with a melee strength of 122, attack rate of 5.
Same as... Oh, it's 4 more strength bonus, right?
Yeah, 4 more than the Vesta's Longsword. It is a two-handed weapon, though. Also requires 78 attack. The special attack is Spear Wall. It'll cost 50% of your special energy. Once used, the player is immune from melee attacks for 8 game cycles. The spear will damage all targets in the 8 tiles surrounding that player, but for half damage each. Outside of the multi-combat zone, only 1 target is damaged. Spear Wall can hit a maximum of 16 targets at once.
And this does this make you, like, immune to hits or something?
Just melee hits, so you can still be attacked by ranged and magic. It seems like it's going to be putting like a barrier around you.
Yeah.
Where melee attackers can't get you, but range can still shoot over your quote-unquote spear wall. It does seem like the Vesta's Spear... I was going to say it looks like it might only be used for the special attack, but who knows? You might see someone just using it as a main attack, because it is the same attack speed as the longsword.
I'm thinking, like, depending... like, I'm going to assume that this will be more common to get than a longsword. What I want to see is, like, clans get members... these Vesta spears, and then, like, let's say Rot has, like, 4 members with spears, and then you hide them in lit, and then you get them, like, all at the same time to just use their spec. Just to get, like, that AoE damage, because, like, no one ever prays melee, right? During those clan fiestas.
Yeah.
And so, if you're gonna hit, like, not a 50, but you could hit, like, pretty hard with that spec.
Well, you're hitting multiple people, too.
Yeah.
So it says for 8 seconds, so you're putting a spear wall up, you'll be damaging people. I wonder if that spear wall will fade, or if it will stay up for the 8 game cycles, preventing people from hitting you, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if they can walk through it. Because imagine it made it an impassable terrain.
That'd be really cool if they could, like, make impassable terrains, but...
You could set up giant walls for your clan.
You could, like, push them out, wall up, so they can't get back in, they die in the fog.
Yeah.
D-spear. I don't know. I think it just does, like, a little AoE damage. I think it's it, and then it makes you, like, immune to melee hits.
That's going to be cool to see. I'm kind of interested in that weapon. That's a pretty unique special.
Yeah.
Next weapon is the Statius's Warhammer. So its highest stat is 123 Crush, with a melee strength of 114. Attack speed the same as the others. Also requires 78 attack to equipped and is one-handed. Its special attack is Smash. It costs 35% energy. A successful hit will deal anywhere between 25 and 125% of your standard max hit. Any successful hit will lower your opponent's defense by 30%. So I guess it's similar to the Dragon Warhammer, where it's a flat 30 and not going to be 30 of what you hit.
But it's probably a lot more accurate. You're probably going to like whack hard. Like that'll probably like be a KO weapon.
I don't know.
What's the strength bonus? 114?
It could be used to set up for a KO since the lowering of the defense.
Does it give you... Oh, sorry. Does it give you like a damage boost in general?
It will hit between 25% up to 125. So 125 would be your max percent. Just for comparison, it seems kind of similar to the Dragon Warhammer. The Dragon Warhammer has a 95 plus to crush, and their strength bonus is 85. So it is a lot stronger and will probably be more accurate.
So like a standard hit is like you could max out at a 51.
That's standard hit, not special attack, right?
Standard hit, 99 strength, piety. You know, super strength potion. Dragon Defender, Glory, Boots, Barrel Gloves. Like what you'd expect someone to have like the final hour. I don't know if you could hit like 100, like literally one bomb someone with that.
It's not 125% on top of your max hit. I think it'll be 25% more. Because it says it will hit anywhere between 25% and 125% of your standard.
Okay.
Yeah, of your standard max hit.
So it's not being added. It's just like an additional rage.
Yeah, so you could use it, and it could be 25% of that 50 or whatever it is you said.
All right, yeah. That's pretty cool.
Next weapon is Morgan's Throwing Axe. It has 93 range attack bonus with 117 range strength. Requires 78 range to equip. It's a one-handed weapon. The saving effect on Ava's devices does not work with the axe. The special attack, Hamstring, costs 50% to use. Against NPCs, a successful hit will deal anywhere between 20% and 120% of your standard max hit. Against players, a successful hit will deal anywhere between 20 and 120% of your standard max hit, but it will also increase your opponent's run energy drain rate by 6 times for a period of 1 minute. So that one was a cool one because we talked last week that it could be used for both being a PKer and trying to avoid a PKer, right? If you're getting chased down, you use it on them, they're going to continue to chase you. Whereas if somebody uses it on you, you could just stand still and not waste your draining.
Yeah, I really like this. Got a lot of really cool utility. I just wonder how they calculate the stamina drain rate. It has to be by weight, right?
Yeah,
just like does it just like times your weight by 6? What if you're like -2?
Yeah.
Now
now you have unlimited run energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, I would hope that it would just drain whatever your drain rate currently is, times it by 6.
Yeah.
This way it'll be factoring your staminas, your agility, and your weight.
Yeah.
But you never know with the engine, right?
Do you think this will increase the price of staminas at the end? Or in general?
I don't know.
Because like staminas are going to be like useful.
Yeah.
Or maybe even regular energy potions. Or super. That's what I mean, sorry. Like, I don't know if it will make them more valuable in general. Just any run energy type potions for the final hour.
I don't know.
Because typically someone will like sip, like I see a lot of people sip staminas, bank them, go PK around the bank, run back, resupply, sip a stamina, go around. I wonder if that's going to make you bring like an extra one. Because like, if you're not near a bank, that could actually like, fuck you so hard.
I would like to think that this would be used a lot in the tournament, but I wouldn't be surprised if you barely see any of these.
Well, yeah, I don't think like the final hour. I think just like, if there's any PK going around, like if like solo PKers might like this, because how like it's so easy to escape. You see like all the like content creators that go PKing and stuff, like everyone escapes them.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I think these will be pretty easy to get, especially if the Amos doesn't work on them. Like I'm assuming one spec and it's just gone. But whatever.
It does seem that way. And it depends how many drop at a time, right? What if they're super rare to get and you only get one at a time? Anyways, next weapon is Morgan's Javelin. So this one has 105 ranged attack with 145 ranged strength. Again, 78 range to equipped. It's a one-handed weapon, and the ammunition saving effect of the Ava's device does not work with javelins. Its special attack is Phantom Strike. It costs 50% to use. It has no effect against NPCs. Against players, though, the javelin will deal regular damage, but it will also apply a damage over time effect to your opponent. Every 3 game cycles, your opponent will take an additional 5 HP of damage until the same damage dealt by the initial blow has been delivered.
So was that like 1.8 seconds? I wonder if they stack, and I wonder, like, I could go figure out what the max hit of it is, but like, it's people wear such random shit. If you're tri-breeding,
yeah.
If you're me, you actually have your fire cape on or something. Like, you don't even have the aims on. But like, I wonder if it's worth it for like clans to like set up like 6 people with like a couple of these and just like, oh, there's one guy, stack them, and just like apply crazy if the dots do stack, and like in terms of doing its own application instead of just like now it's one big one.
Yeah,
like, you get 3 bleeds going instead of like one really big bleed. Like that would be huge.
It does seem pretty cool, and dots are kind of lacking in old school RuneScape. You see it in a ton of other MMO games, and if you're not sure what a dot means, it stands for damage over time. Right now, I believe we just have poison and venom, right?
Yeah.
That's the only 2?
Disease for the Zogre Flesh Eater quest.
It's not damage, though, is it? It drains your stats.
True.
But I do feel like there's space just in the base game itself for some actual dots to be added to the game.
Yeah.
But again, how do you do it without it being too overpowered? This one in itself, with your question being if you can stack them, I could see it being either or.
There's poison, but venom is way better than poison. And then it's like, if bleed is supposed to have its own place, and it's like on par with venom, like hard cap it at 5, but make it so like 4 people can apply. Like, maybe that's really busted though. Maybe it'll be the new smite method with like clans. Like, they'll go find some noobs like walking around, Deadman tourney. 6, 8 of them, you know, boom, you just like bleed out for like 50 damage at a time. I guess this is another thing. If you might want to like camp protect range hard if you know a clan has that.
I wonder if that. Well, yeah, I guess so. Because it'll only do a dot up to what you just hit with the special.
It might just be worth it. Just I'll take a barrage.
Yeah,
I'll risk it. I got high magic defense instead of just like, I don't know. It's cool. It does give a lot of options against like clans, and if someone's, you know, if you know they have these javelins.
What would you feel? Okay, this is a random question, but what would you feel if there was a spell book where it had a bunch of attack styles? Maybe you could put on the Arceus spell book, but it was more related to dots with damages doing damage over time. Maybe there are different kinds. Maybe you have poisons and venom now. Maybe adding different types of dots so that this spellbook you could have a caster who is putting one of each dot onto an
like curses and stuff, debuffs, like maybe like have it dedicated to like dots and debuffs, kind of like a classic warlock like type.
Yeah, warlock
cursing.
From World of Warcraft.
Or just like in general, like that whole archetype of like you curse them and stuff, so that they like lower like you know how there's like enfeeble. And stun and stuff like that.
Yeah, they have those on the regular spellbook, but
like good types of those with dots as well.
Yeah, because you never use them.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool to like have some sort of stuff like that. Like, hey, you use this. You can use this like every 30 seconds of a player. They lose this, but they also lose 20 run energy. That type of stuff.
It'd be cool to see for like PVMing too, even where some guy, his role is to jump on, put one of each dot onto the monster, and then they switch to their melee gear. Let's say it's bandos or something, right?
I think that'd be pretty cool, like a cursed dot, like archetype.
Surprised they haven't tried it yet. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the poisons. That's the only dot they have.
Well, they brought in venom, but that's poison on crack.
It's still, it's a type of poison, right?
It's so good though. Like venom is so busted.
It's so good that they have to make it where half the monsters doesn't work on, or it just works as a normal poison. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, I think that'd be really cool. Even if they like came up with some really cool ideas, like, hey, Arceus would be super good, but they kind of fuck themselves with the teleports and stuff.
If there's a spellbook to get these spells, that would be the one, because it is a necromancer styled spellbook, right?
Yeah.
So it's just an idea. I think there's space for that. Maybe there's some like logistics that aren't going to work.
Yeah. Game engine.
Yeah, they can't even add. Maybe they can't add any other colors for damage hits.
Yeah. Wait, can't they not do that?
See, that's what. Well, I was gonna say they can't do the tinting to show your own, but that's probably a different engine problem in itself. But they did add, what was it, purple that shows when Olm's getting healed.
Yeah.
So that's a new one. Anyways, we'll move on to the next weapon. Next is Zuriel's staff. It has a crush bonus of 65.
Yep.
Cool. It's got some defense bonuses as well. Nothing much, but it's got 18 to magic and 7 to slash. Its melee strength is 72. For some reason, they feel...
Let me figure out the max hit.
Yeah. For some reason, they feel like they have to make every staff weapon be used melee if they wanted to.
I think they do that just to prevent weird, oh, well, now you can box people with these staves.
Yeah.
Make them better than, Addy scimitars and shit.
What blew my mind that I learned probably a couple weeks ago, but I never knew that a Mystic staff versus a Battle staff, they're the same in magic stats, but the Mystic is just stronger melee stats.
Yeah, so if you staff bash, your PK, you mess up your staff bash, boom. The best and worst way to get a kill.
Yeah.
Fuck up, you just KO someone, bonk them with an ancient staff.
But I wonder why they made the Mystic staffs like that. Whatever.
Mystic battle staff, dude. You use it for battling.
Another stat it has is a 10% magic damage, probably the most important one. Off the top of your head, do you know what the Kodai wand gives?
I'm going to guess 12 or 14. I'm looking it up right now, though.
Oh, okay.
15. What?
Yeah. Okay, so it's under the Kodai wand, but still pretty good to have. But the special effect of this staff is when you are casting ancient magic, the effect of those spells are increased. So ice spells have 10% more accuracy. Blood spells heal 5% more. Smoke spells, poison starts at 2 times higher. If you don't know, the smoke spells do damage but also poison your target. And shadow spells will drain attack 2 times higher.
Yeah.
Again, shadow lowers your stats. So that one's interesting. It's pretty good.
I do want to say I like how it doesn't give you any runes. It doesn't count as a rune. Because typically, if you see someone using these at the final hour, they have a water staff so they can carry bloods and barrages in one pouch.
True.
Ice or ice barrage and blood barrage, or ancient staff because it's just better stats and they'll sacrifice an extra slot. So this kind of replaces the ancient staff. It's probably super hard to get. It's gonna be really expensive because it's really fucking good.
Yeah, it is tradable.
The bonus healing is huge for the final hour when you're clan declanning and you're a solo player and you're just getting AoE down. Those blood barrages will keep you up.
Yeah, it does seem pretty strong. But that is it for the weapons. I don't know if they gave the exact number last week, but the following items are 4 times more common to receive. Abyssal Whip, Leaf-Bladed Battle Axe, Dragon Plate Skirt and Legs, Draconic Visage, Skeletal Visage, Wyvern Visage, Imbued Heart, all Malediction and Odium shards, all God Sword Blades and Hilts, Zamorak Spear, Staff of the Dead, Armadillo Helmet, Chestplate and Chain Skirt, and Crossbow, Ceradoman's Sword and Ceradoman's Light, Bando's Chestplate, Tassets, and Boots. So if you're worried that it's going to be impossible to get these new wilderness weapons and armors, well, at least you can go and farm these other items a little bit easier because more people will be probably spread out into the wilderness. And last week, again, I can't remember if the Dragon Defenders had an exact drop rate, but it is now 1 in 25. Oh, not just Dragon Defenders, but all Defenders. And next, they released the actual stats of the armors. So Vesta's Chain Body, its best defense is Crush with 145, as well as 140 defense to ranged, but it gives a 5, 7, and 7 in attack bonus in Stab, Slash, and Crush. It gives a melee strength of 6. These numbers seem all the same as when we talked about it 30 episodes ago, it feels like. So I'll just run through them. Vesta Plate Skirt, attack bonuses is 3, 5, 5 for Stab, Slash, and Crush. Its highest defense is ranged with 118. Its highest melee is 112, -4 to magic, melee strength of 3. And then the Statius's full helmet, 3, 3, 4 for Stab, Slash, Crush attack bonus. with a melee strength of 3. Anyways, we're not going to go through all of the numbers because it seems a little trivial, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll be here all night.
Yeah, we got a lot to tackle. But anyways, the Vestas does seem like it is more of an offensive melee armor that has some decent defense stats, whereas the Statius, also good for offensive, but it's mainly focused on defensive, where it has 20 more defense on top of the Vestas chain body and plate skirt. The Morgan set is a ranged armor set with ranged bonus and attack. Not ranged strength though, just ranged accuracy. And then Zuriel's, all of them give bonus to magic accuracy, but again, not magic damage. So it's interesting to see them go that route. But I guess they noticed that magic and range seem to be pretty strong in the tournament. And most of the time you don't see melee until basically the 1v1s.
Yeah.
All of these armor sets do require 78 defense to wear.
I would have liked to see like a set bonus for these.
Yeah, it would be cool. I'm kind of more excited to see what they're going to look like in game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're just like recolored God Wars armor. Okay, how would you feel if these come out and it's the Theater of Blood armors that they showed way back, the really cool looking ones?
I would say turn on the conspiracy music and they're trying to get these put in the base game.
Yeah, look how cool this shit is. All unique attack animations and walk styles. So yeah, fun. So Saturday, 15th of September is when the Deadman tournament begins, with the final week being a week prior, starting on Saturday, September 8th. So keep your eyes out for that one if you're interested in seeing it, and you will be able to view it on stream at twitch.tv.
Yeah, it'll be good. Excited for that.
Next, we're going to be talking about some improvements to bush yields, as well as some interface changes to the mobile client. First, we'll start with the farming yield improvements. So the yields for bushes, cave, nightshade, and limp roots have been increased. The yield for each of these crops will have a guaranteed minimum harvest equal to the yield before this update. The additional harvest will be scaled according to your farming level. The appearance of the fully grown crops no longer depletes based on how many you yield and will instead appear as only a full crop or a fully harvested crop. This is in line with other farming patches that work in a similar way. The following crops have been affected: Catava berry, cave nightshade, dwellberry, jangerberry, limpwort root, poison ivy, red berry, and white berry. To balance the influx of limpwort roots coming into the game, the following monsters now drop seeds instead of the roots. These are Chaos Druid Warriors, Kurasks, Necreals, and Deviant Spectres. Each of these will now drop 1 seed at a time, except Deviant Spectres, which will drop a minimum of 3 seeds up to 11. All wilderness bosses that drop limpwort roots have had them reduced from 50 to 25.
Is this a nerf to Iron Man?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, it's a nerf to Iron Man if you're not farming.
Because now you have to farm for a secondary.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just like, Kira asks, ooh, look at all these hundreds of limpworts I got.
So I just typed in some of these items here because when we saw this change happen to the cactus spines, they dropped hard. They went from being between 3K and 4K each to down to like 700 each when they made this change.
Yeah.
So the limpworts seem to have gone up in price. That one seems pretty normal. It went from 330 August 20th up to 427. So it's not a huge change, but I guess if you're a free to play player, maybe you can actually grind some money off hill giants again.
Yeah, so it looks like they just like it hit a huge dip regardless, so it's gonna go up at some point, I think. Looks like there's some sort of price manipulation actually beginning of the month, but I think the big difference is that the cactus spine, they buffed something that like I don't know, you just kind of farm it, right?
I think that
was the main source. It was just farming it?
Yeah, it was kind of easy to do. You get 3 at a time. They were like, a lot of people did it because they were worth 3 point something K each. I did them.
Yeah, so I think most of the ones that were being made or being put in the game was because of farming. And now with like limpworts and like white bears and stuff, they were all through Slayer. Like 99% of them were through Slayer. you could like add like limpworts to your allotment runs, but you get like 4 at a time.
They're kind of pointless to do. I would do my
Yeah.
deviant specters, and I'd walk out there with like hundreds of limpworts.
Yeah, exactly. So if they're taking those out of the game, that will like really affect the price in general, and then they're adding it to Farming, which I don't know. I kind of like that though.
Yeah, that's a good change. I wonder why they didn't do it to the other items. So white berries, I know they're popular to use because defense potions require it to make for the herblore skill. They went from 936 gold down to 799. Not a huge dip, but I'm sure we'll see that continue to dip as time goes on. And poison ivy went from 1.1k down to 960. A little bit more noticeable, I suppose, but still not that big of a deal. It's like 200 gold. I'm sure we'll also see that continue to drop because it's kind of a big money maker now, since you get more than 3 per harvest, I think it was. Maybe it was even a little bit more.
Yeah, I have poison ivy. Is it near the POH portal?
In Remington, right?
Yeah. I would go and just pick that up and do like a clue, like one of the medium clues that brings you have to run by.
Yeah.
Just go pick a couple. Do that once in a while.
And I know there's one in Artie. You can use the cape to teleport right to it.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to go over the mobile client. They've added a new tab called Account Management. So this was first discussed in the Canada soft launch news post, but it has now been released for mobile. The toggleable orb that opens the store, it does still exist, but is toggled off by default for members. The orb will always show if you're a free-to-play member, though. I guess it's just to make it a little bit more enticing, a little bit more easy to accidentally buy membership if you're a free-to-play player. But also in this tab, they have a button that opens the store and a button for your bond pouch, a button to bring you to your inbox onto the website, and a button for name changer. Then at the bottom, they have labeled as useful links. They have old school website and customer support. So, oh boy, useful. It's interesting.
I mean, let's be real. The microtransaction button is like 3 times bigger than the support button.
So since adding this new account management button, they've combined both the friends list and the ignore list into one. There will be a button in the top of the little panel there that will change between the two. Yeah, that's about it for that. For overlays, the fog system in Deadman mode has been fixed and now displays correctly on mobile. And the smoke overlay when entering the smoke tunnels in the desert or south of Castle Wars will now display correctly on mobile as well. PvP Worlds rotation is switching to period A. Teleblock now expires on logout. Players are now asked to confirm they wish to log out during a raid. A grammatical error in the diary for the Witch's House has been fixed. Malignius Mortifer now uses the accusative rather than the nominative case of a Latin word. Okay. I mean, that's great. I was waiting for that change to happen.
Yeah. I might actually start playing RuneScape again, actually, now with that change.
The Avernic Defender's death protection has been adjusted to protect over more items. It protects over fewer than it originally did in May. And that's basically it for anything noticeable to actually talk about, which means we'll move on to some more fun stuff, some more changes to the UI, but this time the PC client. So if you haven't noticed, this week's update caused some issues with the actual game. I think it had been offline for a short period, but once it was brought online, there was problems with your UI. So if you're somebody who likes to use the different panel layout, so you have the old school layout, or you have all of your buttons just right across your screen, if you had that toggled on, there was issues with the actual game and some interfaces weren't actually showing. This was very apparent if you were using a third-party client. They have since fixed that. And then last but not least, for the news. RuneFest 2018 is just around the corner, and with that, they bring us a new mobile app so that you can follow along with all the good RuneFest goodies during the event. I've downloaded the app and checked it out, and right now there's not a whole lot, but it's there if you want to get prepped for it. It'll give you the description of what the event actually is, and it will bring you to a page where you can actually nominate some of your favorite content creators.
that aren't us, actually.
Everyone else.
Yeah.
Anyways, this RuneFest app will be your go-to to everything for this year's event. It will include things such as stage and panel schedules, event floor plans, including activity, food, and stage locations, the merchandise ranges and pricing, social networking, and personalized schedules and notifications. So let's say you're at RuneFest this year and you're not interested in the next year's news for old school RuneScape, but you do want to check out that orchestra show. You can probably set it up so that you get a notification when that show is going to go live, but it won't tell you when the actual news events are happening. It seems pretty cool. But on top of that, they have released, as I mentioned, not the nominees, but a page that you can submit your nominations for this year's Golden Gnome Awards. So I believe it's working a little bit different this year. But you're able to nominate your favorite content creators for a various different awards. So the nominations are now open, but they will be closing September 6th. But the difference this year is that you will not be able to actually vote on the nominees. Jagex themselves will go through and manually basically go through all the nominations, and they themselves will determine who deserves the award for each category.
Wait, can people nominate us? Or is it like from a list?
So let's say you wanted to get nominated for something in one of the categories. Cosplay. Let's say me and Deagin are going in dressed up as our best cosplay.
Yeah, I'll be Neve.
You be Neve. Perfect.
Yeah, pile of ashes.
So what would happen starting now before September 6th? People would have to use either... You might be able to go on the website, or you might have to use the app, but you will have to go in and then basically you type in for the cosplay category, you have to write Deagin and submit it. It will then get sent to Jagex. They will look at all their nominations for the cosplay category, and they themselves will be like, okay, looks like Deagin's Neve cosplay, just dust. Looks like he just rolled in a fire pit beforehand.
Yeah.
They will go, perfect, we think he should win. Boom, done. But it's not like one person nominates Deagin and then 100 people nominate me for like Gnome Child cosplay. Then they will look at it and go, well, this guy has 100 nominations. He's going to win, because that's no different than voting, really.
Yeah.
Anyway, so some of these categories are the Video Awards. So RuneScape Video of the Year, Old School RuneScape Video of the Year, Best New RuneScape Video Maker, Best New Old School RuneScape Video Maker, Best RuneScape Video Maker, and Best Old School RuneScape Video Maker. So one of them is new Video Maker, so maybe just started this year, and the other one is the all-time Video Maker.
Yeah.
Next is Streaming Awards, so it's Best New RuneScape Streamer, Best New Old School RuneScape Streamer, Best RuneScape Streamer, Best Old School RuneScape Streamer. So similar, one that's a new streamer and one that's the all-time best streamer. Art awards go to Best Artistic Creation and Best Artist. And finally, the Deagin Award category, which is Cosplay Awards, the Most Creative Cosplay, and the Best Cosplay. And the Unknown category, which is unlisted, but I know it's there. Best Old School RuneScape Podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe Best Old School RuneScape Podcast recorded out of Canada.
Yeah.
Ontario.
Somehow we're losing that one.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but
it's just the way she goes. So that's it for your the RuneFest Awards. So go ahead and vote for for all the categories.
yeah.
Just let them know that they're missing a category for us.
You should vote with add a podcasting category.
Yeah.
That's your nominee for everything.
Somehow Joe Rogan Experience wins this year. They forget to specify to a RuneScape podcast. And if you're unaware, I believe the tickets for this RuneFest event will be £150. So there's an early bird ticket for £135 and a standard ticket for £150. But this does allow you to go to all the events for all the days. And there's free parking. Wow, there's free... Can you believe it? There's free fucking parking. There are 3.5 thousand parking spaces, which are free to players over the Friday and Saturday of RuneFest 2018. Are there hotels by? Yes, there are hotels. Are there ID and minimum age requirements to enter the event? Yes, we require attendees to have valid photo ID, which matches the information on their ticket. Valid ID includes passport, driving license, military ID, identity card, age verification cards with a valid hologram. Be over the age of 16 but you must be accompanied by a parent or guardian, otherwise over the age of 18.
So be 16 with a guardian or 18?
Yep. So if you're 16 years old,
Huh.
you must bring a guardian. Booze, right? People
True.
getting straight dicked.
Oh, you just like walk around with some booze?
I'm assuming.
Huh.
Casino style, you know?
Yeah, cool.
But there is a Q&A there, so you will be able to, if you are going, do check out the Q&A. Not the Q&A. FAQ, frequently asked questions. And yeah, that's it for RuneFest, and that is it for the news, but we do have some community chatter stuff to talk about. A user on the 2007 Scape subreddit named Chins All Day, he made a post about how he had won the King of the Skill and finally received his goodie bag. So I thought it'd be interesting just to go through what they actually give you in these goodie bags. So they give you a little, almost like a shopping bag, not a plastic bag. I don't even know what material it is, but anyways, it's a little bag that says Old School RuneScape on it. A Deadman mode jersey, a framed picture of what looks like to be Fossil Island. It's a really nice picture, actually. A really big mouse pad of Vorkath mouse pad.
Yeah, the mouse pad looks dope as hell.
It's good. It's big, too. Fuck.
Oh, yeah.
They have an Old School RuneScape notebook, bottle opener, or shoehorn. Maybe it's
I think it's a bottle opener.
Bottle opener and a shoehorn. They have a pen, 2 different pens that looks like maybe one's a permanent marker, and then they give a Jagex mug. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
With this popping up, though, you see a lot of other winners posting about how they still haven't received theirs. One of them being the winner from a mousepad design contest from 2015. So lagging a little bit on that one. If I'm not mistaken, the person behind giving out those rewards was either quit or was let go or maybe moved to a different team. But anyways, next we have to talk about is a Ultimate Iron Man named Panda, who was the first Ultimate Iron Man to get an Inferno cape, was PK'd this week out in the wilderness, losing his entire bank, which was about 800 mil worth of items.
Yeah.
So things like the Elysian Spirit Shield, Master Wand, looks like the Dragon Hunter crossbow, shit ton of resources, like 17,000 sharks.
Thousands of potions.
13,000 Law Runes, Saradomin Godsword. Anyways, if you're wondering how he was able to get PK'd with all that, well, first off, an Ultimate Iron Man is like a normal Iron Man, but they can't use a bank. And when they die, they lose all of their items. So a common tactic that Ultimate Iron Men do is that they use, like, I guess, death boxes to hold some items. So from Vorkath, Zulrah, Theater of Blood, where when you die in that PVM content, all your items that you would have lost goes into a box and you either pay money or you can get it back for free with Zulrah. But it gives you a little storage crate to leave it there. But if you do die a second time, those items are wiped from the game. Another tactic that they use is they utilize their looting bag to store items when they're doing other content. So since they can't use a bank, they're restricted to actually inventory space that they have. There's tricks around it, like the ones I just mentioned, as well as using your player-owned house to store gear. But what they use the looting bag for is they'll go into the wilderness, they'll drop their items, and then put the items straight into their looting bag. So with this particular Ultimate Iron Man, they were getting prepped to go do Theater of Blood, which means they need to go through the wilderness to use their looting bag to store the items that they wouldn't be using in Theater of Blood, so they could free up some space. And maybe they were going to take out some of the items that were in the looting bag itself. Actually, I'm not really sure how that works out. But anyways, what happened was, see, he has the mistake of streaming his Ultimate Iron Man progress, but not just that, he always leaves his private chat onto public, like always on. So what this allowed people to do and allowed a clan to do was watch his stream, and then when they noticed he was going into the wilderness, they simply added him to see what world he was on, and they went out there to kill him. And he made a statement that his laptop was freezing up as well, which caused him not able to respond. But he died and lost all of his items. So yeah, pretty big hit, I guess.
Is he quitting?
I don't entirely know. If not quit immediately, maybe take a long break from the game, right? You're basically starting from scratch again. Just the only difference is the stats you have. And maybe the items that were in your player-owned house.
Grinding all those herbs back. All those vials of blood. Is it vials of blood he has? Kind of looks like it. All those chaos runes, like the Ellie.
Yeah, 119,000 chaos runes.
Yeah, the dude had a fucking Ellie.
And yeah, Elysian Spirit Shield.
That is like that's like a couple hundred hours just to get right there.
And the thing, you got to start with getting, a rune crossbow from something to start being able to grind content again.
Yeah, well, I wonder what's in his Zulrah death area.
Well, what I believe is that it was in the Theater of Blood, but since he died, those items got wiped. So the PKer got 800 mil, but the items in his death crate are gone. So all the major items he would have had are pretty much gone. He might have like full mystics or something in the player-owned house costume room. Because if you don't know, you can store full sets of gear there, but you have to have the full set. So you can't just put a mystic hat there. You need to have the full mystic set before putting it into the costume room.
See, I always thought the death stuff, I thought you could keep stuff at Zulrah, and then I thought you could have an inventory at Zulrah and then suicide to get stuff into your looting bag as well.
I think you would need to do the suicide first and then have your items in there, because the problem with, if you recall, when you go to Vorkath and if you take out almost all your items except for a few items and you try to go to fight Vorkath, he'll say you still have items in your box.
Yeah, I want to say Vorkath don't work differently, because I was watching some video, you can't, if you have a full looting bag and you have like as an Ultimate Iron Man, if you're completely stacked on like full inventory, equipped gear, and looting bag, if you were to die, you lose, because there's like over 56 items that go in a stack, which goes over the limit. I think some items I've never played Ultimate Iron Man, so I don't know how it works. I don't know because I know Vorkath, it overwrites, and I want to say like if you die in there, like for Zulrah, if you go to fight Zulrah and die again, then you lose it. I don't know if you die anywhere else. I think you keep your Zulrah items. I don't know though. I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure you would die and you would lose it as well, because I've heard that for a while now.
Well, that sucks for him.
Yeah.
I would probably quit that account. Oh my god.
You basically lost everything. Like, sure, you have the stats, but it's the items.
That's a couple thousand hours you just lost right there.
But it is his fault. He did make some mistakes, but it's a weird one. I go back and forth. I think, yeah, it's his fault. He's in the wilderness. You're open up to be killed. But at the same time, I guess it's hard not to feel bad that getting PK'd by a clan, too, that was kind of waiting for him to get out there. It's a bit savage, I guess is the word to use.
Yeah.
Because it's more than just dying and losing your items. You're essentially, good chance the guy's quitting.
Yeah.
So I guess morals come into play a little bit. But the wilderness is the wild, wild west, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And next, some pretty big news if you're a follower of this certain YouTuber who, for a while, was the most popular YouTuber, but recently became a kind of a controversial YouTuber just from some of the choices he's made. I guess we'll quickly run through some of the events that have happened. We don't normally talk about this stuff because it doesn't really have anything to do with the actual game itself. It's kind of just YouTuber drama, and YouTube is not
super interesting for most people.
Yeah, that, and I was going to say there's no lack of drama for the YouTuber community. Not just for RuneScape, but just in general. There's always drama going down between YouTubers. And so a very popular YouTuber named A Friend, who first became popular back in the days when RuneScape was transitioning to RuneScape 3. And he started making 10 hours at blank boss, where he would spend 10 hours there, show you the loot he got, and gave you kind of an idea of what the possibilities are of getting some actual money from those bosses. So he did a bunch of different bosses, a bunch of different PVM content. That's where he got his initial popularity from. And then over time, he just gained more. He started doing more just, I guess, casual videos where it wasn't a 10 hour of this type of content. Yeah, fast forward to, I guess, a couple of years, he started doing old school RuneScape content, just doing some Iron Man stuff and trying out different things on RuneScape, on old school RuneScape. And then recently, I guess he eventually died. He lost a hardcore Iron Man that he was going on. And that's when things started going a little bit south for him. He had a video where he was, well, not a video, but it was a stream. I guess it was both, where he was taking donations for himself from his viewers, where he's done donations before, but he used those to donate them into the well of, like a well of charity kind of thing, where Jagex matched the money that was donated into the well in game with real life money to go towards a charity.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were donating stuff. And anyways, this time though, he had taken some money specifically for for content to make videos, right? And then following that, he went to one of those money doublers sort of deal and basically tested on them to see how much they were willing to scam. And lo and behold, they scammed all 150 mil. He was able to get about 2 bill from viewers, but he ended up losing 150 mil to the scammer. Then over the course of the next couple of weeks, the video started taking a weird turn where one video he advertised a cryptocurrency gambling website. And then from there, with his most recent video, with the dueling tax being introduced, he basically made a video that was sponsored by this cryptocurrency gambling website where he kind of compared that to the dueling arena. So half the video was him doing the cryptocurrency gambling on that website, and the other half was he received 1 bill from that company where he then staked it at the duel arena. And anyways, following that video, Jagex banned every one of his accounts, and they made a post on the subreddit basically providing us with a statement of it. And this was posted by Mod Aiza, and it says, "It's been brought to our attention that some members of the old school RuneScape community, especially those with a large social influence, have begun associating themselves with and promoting third-party websites that encourage gambling. It is often that these activities undermine the integrity of the community, violate our users' agreement, prey on consumers, are heavily involved in the real-world trade, and could be unlawful. We want to ensure that the old school community is correctly represented by its content creators, and as such, we'll be working closely with them to begin updating our community guidelines so that it's clear we'll no longer work with any individual who participates, advertises, or is associated with any type of gambling interests for real or digital currencies. In addition to this, any individual who's found to be participating, advertising, or is associated with any type of gambling interests for real or digital currencies via RuneScape may lead to their accounts being permanently banned from our services."
This is actually really weird because, I read this statement before when it happened, I don't know what day, but earlier this week, because I watched both videos. I watched the video of a friend. The video he posted was it was all, it was a 10-minute stake.com ad. That's what it was. He, talked about how he was given life-changing money. He was given a lot, other YouTubers were offered, the same deal, or, a similar deal. SparkMax said there he was offered 94,000.
Wow.
Just say, a friend got, 70,000. Of course you're, honestly, if, I was offered that, stake.com, you know what I mean? I think I would have, that's a fucked up amount of money. But I think this is the biggest thing. I think this is why he actually got banned. Within that video, which I think it might be taken down now.
It was taken down.
Yeah, it's gambling. And yeah, that's pretty sketchy. But hey, look, you have to be over 18. There's a verification process. But Jagex doesn't have it. So technically, the dueling arena is more sketchy than stake.com because, and then hey, and he gives all these reasons on he looks up clickbaity RuneScape videos where it's I win 10 duels, one build is $1, I get 20 bill, that type of clickbaity staking videos, which there are YouTubers or content creators that a lot of their content is staking, and they do equivocate. If I use that correctly, I don't know. Who cares? They do show that this is how much money I'm winning, but it's in a video game, and I could see Jagex kind of be holy shit, we could get in some actual trouble because we're kind of air quotes promoting underage gambling, CS:GO Lotto type shit, right? Where it's they're just skins, mom, but they're actually this is $300 skin. Yeah. It's kind of sketchy.
I think the main problem with this in the YouTube video, he says, "Why go to the dueling arena? Go to this website instead."
And then also, another thing that really tripped it is that the company gave him $1 bill in RuneScape just to stake, and he could do whatever he wanted. If you won, he'd keep it. Whatever, lost, no big deal. And he shows he should not have fucking put that in the video. That is so stupid. He should have been don't give me the bill, ignore the actual staking. It does show that there was definitely some real world trading going on. He does kind of point out a lot of flaws Jagex has with the dueling arena. Unlike there is some, a pretty sketchy side to it. How when we talk about gold, I've done it where hey, guy got PK'd for a Scythe of a tour. Let's figure out how much real life money it was.
Yeah.
Like we do that all the time in general. And
it happens with tons of games. With EVE Online, another, I guess, kind of popular. It's got a big following though. But in that, you'll see a war will happen, and they'll break down how much the ships are worth in real life money.
Yeah.
Because it gives a scale of like 3.4 bill. If you're level 60, you might not. That sounds like a lot. You're like, okay, that's a lot of money in game, but you can't really. But everyone understands real world money.
Yeah.
You know that $1,000 that can buy you a lot. That can buy you like 3 PlayStation 4s, kind of. Maybe no
hookers.
A couple hookers, actually, not 3, probably 2. But anyways, yeah.
I think the big thing also though is that RuneScape's real world trading, Jagex specifically, like with RuneScape specifically, like what's his name? Chunk, is it that like talks about like the shit the deep side of RuneScape, like is it Chunk that does like where he talks to like hackers and fishers and all those?
Crump
is a Crump, Chunk. They're all like the same, like whatever.
You'll see them in your sidebar. I see those videos all the time, and probably from those old school stream highlights. Somehow they might be linked. I don't know. His video is actually decent.
Yeah, I really like them, but he makes one thing where he shows that like common ratting tools in general, like a lot of like really sketchy programs that you use to like just whatever. Like there's like default settings, and then there's settings specifically for RuneScape. And it's not like a RuneScape fishing tool. It's like there's like a fishing tool that has RuneScape settings in it because like it's always been a thing. Like it's always been an issue with RuneScape specifically of like hacking and like you've played other MMOs. It's never like this. Like RuneScape has like it's not as bad as what I'm making it out to seem, but like there is a community of people that like shit. You're a new player. Your name's Jim Bob. You use Jim Bob for every login and Hunter 2 for every login. But how come you make an account on RuneScape with those same details? Within a week, it gets hacked and banned. I know 2 or 3 people that want to try RuneScape out. They just use like, one size fits all. Like they use the same username, password, and their RuneScape account gets recovered really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's because there's like one guy out there that like, or 2 guys out there that like, has some sort of program that like figure out and can easily hack. But main thing I'm making is that like the gold actually has like a pretty like heavy set value, and a friend was like, I don't know, I feel like if they just like let this go, like let the circle jerk keep going, it could turn to a thing where like Jagex could get legal, they could get legal like action taken against them by like the UK government because of the quote unquote gambling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they do that now with not loot boxes, but there are articles being written by some gaming websites about how loot boxes where you don't get items you can necessarily trade, but it is a type of gambling.
Yeah. Like Valve had a big issue with this where they had to shut down all the gambling sites with that T Martin Syndicate stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, they're not gambling money, but they're gambling like a proxy, like a money proxy. But the main thing is that a friend got banned. He kind of made it so he kind of like was like, the way he did the video, it really came off as like he thought he wasn't going to get banned, but like he outed himself for like real world trading
a bit. And I think part of the problem, I think the main problem for that one was that
the one bill being traded over though.
I think also is that he says, don't use the dueling arena, use this website that sponsored me instead. It's just as bad or not, maybe even worse, because it's kind
of fucked because he's telling people to gamble on, and those sites always rigged to like for that so the house wins.
Yeah, it might be a small percentage, but over the long term, you will be losing money because that's how it's set up. That's how all casinos are set up.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a thing if they weren't making bank.
And clearly, they're making enough if they're able to pay these content creators close to $100,000, right?
Yeah,
like more than 50. Like that's.
I was thinking when he said like life-changing money, I'm like, what, like $5,000? Yeah, that's a good sponsor. And then SparkMac was like, no, I was offered $94K and I declined it. It's like, that's so fucked.
It's a hard thing to decline, but it did cause him to get all of his accounts banned, which now means you aren't really able to use RuneScape as a source of income anymore. Because for many people who play RuneScape a lot, it's kind of like a dream job to be able to make YouTube content, get paid for it.
Yeah.
Especially if anyone will watch any of your videos and you don't need to put a lot of editing into it. You just have to sit down and do something.
Yeah. cannonballs for 10 hours.
Yeah, you just have to play the game and people will flock to that.
He also like released an apology video that was like, boo-hoo, I'm so sad now. And it's like, well, this is why people were getting mad at you, because we all knew this was gonna happen. He did like a follow-up for when he got banned, that whole video, and he was like saying how he doesn't know what he's gonna do anymore and shit, but it's like, this is why everybody got mad at you, because like this was gonna happen. Like, I kind of saw this coming, maybe not in this exact way, but
I saw a different change. I watched a lot of his videos for a while now, and I kind of noticed a change in tone and then it also caused me to be less compelled, less excited to watch a new video when it came out.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like a wild guess. It's been a while. Like honestly, I'm gonna like sit down and like look through like the numbers, but I feel like a friend made a YouTube video. I don't know if you remember this, but it was like his Social Blade comparing his and Torvesta's Social Blade.
Right, Torvesta is another YouTuber who mainly does PKing and Deadman mode content.
And there's a time where someone tweeted at them being like, "Look, Torvesta's better than you," and he was like, "Look, everyone." I remember like he put like it's like an excerpt. I can't think of words right now because I'm all stuffy. But he put like a little clip of like someone tweeting this to him, and he came off as like very defensive. He wasn't like ooh, but like the way he responded obviously bugged him. And he was like, "No, look, I'm still bigger than Torvesta. I get more views." And then Torvesta was like, he still gets more views. And then like a month later, Torvesta made a video being like, "Look, I'm actually the #1 RuneScape YouTube content creator. Like, look." And then from there, I noticed a friend's content kind of got like lazier and lazier. And I don't know if he died on White Cat at that time or around that time. I don't know exactly. Like, I want to like compare the timelines, but I feel like as soon as a friend became #2, he got demotivated, and then he ends up dying later on White Cat, and then just fuck it, shit content for like a year and a bit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah. I guess yeah, I don't know. It's just the way she goes.
One last thing I want to talk about before we move on is Jagex says that you're not allowed to be sponsored by gambling sites in that post,
basically,
which is kind of scary because they're kind of telling us what, like, it's, you know, like Bodhi was sponsored by PokerStars. I'm not saying he should be banned because this was like a while ago. You're like, there are like content creators that will have to turn down certain like, do you think PokerStars is a bad sponsor?
I can see how they're similar, but I think there's a bit of a difference.
Well, that's the thing. They're not specific. They just say like you're not allowed to be sponsored by gambling companies. You can't take gambling sponsorships. I don't know if it's stake.com, but I think they would have like maybe like specified. But like I feel like as of right now, if you were to get like a PokerStars sponsorship, you shouldn't take it because you can get like you have to ask Jagex if it's okay.
Yeah, but I do feel like there is a difference in the way the two work. Whereas the stake website, you're playing these little mini games. There are games where it's literally like you put in money, flips a coin, you win, you don't win, right?
Yeah.
Which it's kind of close to a slot machine, whereas poker,
you're playing all these different kinds of poker and stuff.
There's different kinds of poker, and you're playing against different people. You know, it's I feel like they're similar in the sense that you're putting money on the line, but the companies are way different. Whereas PokerStars is an actual, everyone knows that website.
Yeah.
They probably, like, I don't know if the stake website has, like, they pay their taxes well, and I'm sure they do. But you know what I mean? It's less of a business than PokerStars. I don't know if that's fair to say, but you know what I mean? You get what I'm saying?
Less legitimate, at least.
Yeah, it's less legitimate.
But that's what worries me, though, because, like, does Jagex, are they grouping everything together just because they don't want to associate with gambling?
It's hard to say.
Because imagine, like, Bodhi and, like, Torvesta and then, like, Framed, like, all these other YouTubers and Twitch streamers and stuff. Let's just say they all get really good deals from PokerStars, and then, like, from being on the outside, like, you're, like, you know, in, like, you're some UK, like government worker, and you see that there's, like, you have a company that has, like, this dual arena, but then also a lot of their big content creators are, like, sponsored by, like, PokerStars. Then now RuneScape is now lumped in with gambling. That's what happened with CSGO.
Yeah, but I think the problem also comes down is how you actually go about this advertisement / sponsorship.
Yeah.
because this one was a literal, let's compare a gambling website to a minigame that you can gamble in-game with.
Yeah.
Whereas a PokerStars thing, they're probably not saying...
Like, the PokerStars ads are like, we're going to do a tournament. Oh, yeah, I get free coaching. So I kind of like... That's like, at least when I watched Bodie's little sponsored thing a while ago, it was like, we're going to do a tournament for like $20. It's a $20 tournament. It'll be fun. So, but like, it's not related to RuneScape, so I guess... Yeah,
it gets a bit complicated, but... I do see why they felt the need to put that statement out, because they can't just ban them and not give a reason, because this community would have like a giant uproar.
Yeah.
So they made the statement being, if you're associated with gambling websites, there's a good chance you're going to get banned. But anyways, we'll move on to the last part of the community chatter, and that's the Q&A, where Jagex released the exact number of gold that was removed from the game because of the dueling arena tax system they put in. And that gold was 127 billion GP.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
That's a huge amount. And this is going from the Thursday when it was released to probably the Wednesday, maybe the Tuesday when they get the actual numbers. But it was a little bit under a week.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Huge gold sink.
Yeah, I guess we didn't really realize all those people staking 1 bill. See, there's people that like only stake like 200 mil plus and shit, right? Like,
yeah.
And that's all they do. Yeah, like trillions are going to be taken out of the game.
Yeah, over the next data stream where they release these numbers again, back usually before the end of the year, but around December, we'll probably get the actual numbers of what's been gone since, and it'll be enormous amount of money is going to be gone.
I think this is well overdue. This tax.
Yeah, well, you can see that it's not preventing people from not staking anymore. People are still going to do it. Now we have a giant gold sink. They're always looking for these gold sinks.
Now, depending on how inflation goes, then they should start thinking of applying the system to the Grand Exchange.
Yeah, possibly.
I'll take a hit on not being able to flip fire runes and stuff.
Yeah.
As long as it's better for the game.
Every game does it. That's my excuse. I know it's like, well, if everyone jumps off a bridge, and they jump off the bridge, but there's a reason every game follows that.
Yeah.
And games like MapleStory, where you traded over 50K, you got hit with a giant tax. And there was a big tax.
Yeah.
50K was now you're actually trading 45K.
You need that to keep stable economy somewhat.
Yeah, prevent huge inflations, and makes sense why RuneScape's doing that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that's it for the news. As I mentioned last week, we're going to skip over the lore this week because it's been such a crazy couple of weeks. We might bring it back next week, but by episode 101, we will have the lore segment coming back. But with that being said, we are going to move on with our Q&A, and we got, I guess, a little special announcement before we get into that. So the first thing is we finally released a Patreon where you're able, if you want to, you can support the show.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, that's true. Everything's from now on, everything's locked behind a paywall.
Yeah, we're pay to win.
Pay to win, baby. No, not actually. We're going to release some bonus stuff. But nothing about the show is going to actually change, except for you're going to be hearing about this Patreon thing from each episode now. We do want to bring out some more different content, so this Patreon will allow us to do that. But also, what would happen with that content is it'll be released earlier on Patreon, but then eventually it'll be released onto the normal feed. So it'll just be like bonus episode. We have some ideas that we've been brainstorming, but we'll quickly go and explain why we decided now to do this, as well as another thing that we're going to be talking about after this. So we've been doing this for almost 2 years now, and it's a hobby of ours, right?
Next week will be 2 years, right?
Yeah, next week.
Yeah,
next week's the 2-year mark.
Yeah.
So it's something, it takes a bit of time each week to actually record the episodes, however long it is, that's how long it takes to record. But also, it does take quite a bit of time to actually edit and get it uploaded. And there are some costs that come with it that not many people are aware of. A lot of people have asked us in the past, like, how much money do you guys actually make from the show?
It's somewhere in the negatives.
Yeah, it is in the negatives. Yeah. We don't make any money, but we have to spend money. And I believe it's because podcasting is still kind of, it's not in the mainstream yet like YouTube is. Where YouTube, you're able to upload for free and all that fun stuff. There was a time where YouTube, your videos couldn't be more than 10 minutes long. Do you remember those days?
I remember when they couldn't be more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, they couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were locked at 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then as they were able to increase their storage space, all that jazz. But
side note, it's funny how now every video is 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We've gone full circle.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, with podcasting, it's a bit different. Since there's no one website you go to get your actual podcast episodes, there's a bunch of different feeds. It started with iTunes with their podcasting section on the iTunes store. And then Google came out with theirs. Now there's Stitcher, which is basically the Spotify of podcasting. There's TuneIn, which is another version of Stitcher. There's also Spotify itself, which is for music, but they have since brought in some podcasts.
Yep.
They're a bit more strict on how to get it in. There's actual requirements you need to hit. But for the other ones, you're basically, as long as your show's not crazy controversial, if it's just like a normal show, then you would probably get approved for it.
Yeah.
But the way it works is you don't actually submit your podcast episodes or your podcast show to iTunes. You send in basically the show to get approved, but then after that, it automatically pulls it from an RSS feed. So I'm not the smartest with all this stuff, and it took me a bunch of research to learn what I actually needed, but you need to find a website that will provide you with an RSS feed where you can upload your podcast to that one website, and then all of the podcasting apps, programs, websites, hubs, basically, they go and then they pull it automatically from that hosting website. So there are some free hosting websites, but there have been other free ones in the past, but the problem with that is
they're trash.
Basically, they don't make money because they're free. They have different ways of making money, but if there's ever any problems, which with those free ones, there tends to be more issues with uploading because since they're not making as much money, they don't have as much of a commitment to make sure everything's working fine. But there have been problems where suddenly all your episodes are either removed from iTunes and Google and all those apps, or they just don't work. So you go to load them and it can't retrieve it from the RSS feed.
Yeah.
So when we started, we found a website that was basically the best website to use for uploading your podcast to. The problem is it costs actual money to use it. And it starts off at $5, and then and they give you an allotment of free space you can use each month. Well, as our show kind of grew to about 2 to 3 hours in length each week, we weren't able to actually use the space given to us from the $5 amount, and we've had to increase it over time. And we're currently paying about $30, which gives us 600 megabytes of space. And right now, depending, we kind of fluctuate between 2 to 3 hours, sometimes just under 2 hours. But for the most part, we get pretty close to that 600 megabyte space limit, which means we couldn't upload a fifth episode every month.
Yeah.
Because we would hit that maximum capacity. But on top of that, what I also do is before I upload it, I run it through another site, which basically takes all your audio and makes everything completely leveled and makes it the best quality for listening to an actual podcast. So it's mixed specifically for a podcast, if you're listening to it on your phone. The audio levels are mixed different than what songs would be, and it's mixed for like earbuds, basically. So I do that, and that costs roughly $10 a month because, again, they give you... When we first started, we had 3 hours that was free every month. It's like 3 or 4 or 5 hours. I can't remember exactly, but we never had to pay money for it, and it helped with the quality a lot. And then as the episodes grew, we need to pay for extra time for them to mix the actual episodes. So right now we're spending about $40 a month on the show, which I had no problem doing before because I was working a full-time job, and this was a fun hobby of ours, and it's like an outlet that you can kind of look forward to doing each week and something you put some creative energy into. Well, unfortunately, if you're not aware, I am going back to school in September, which means I had to quit my full-time job. I work construction, which was, it's 44 hours a week, and it's pretty consistent work. But now with me going back to school, I'm going to have to find a part-time job, which means I may not have exactly enough funds to pay each month for this. I'm not too sure. That's something that's kind of an unknown at this point. So I decided I would release this Patreon, and if people have the spare income and they wanted to support us, they could, and it would help us a lot with being able to keep the show going the way it is. And we'd also want to release some extra things for people who do support us, because we want to feel that you're getting, what you deserve for actually spending money on the show each month. So we have a couple different tiers on our Patreon. It's a $1, $3, $5, and $10 tiers.
And the $2,000 tier.
Yeah, the big $2,000 tier. You can come live with us for a month. So the rewards we're still kind of working with. It's hard to come up with rewards that are, I don't know what the word is, but
Fair? Value? I don't know.
yeah, it's like worth it, right? It's hard because what's actually worth $5 of your money each month? It's hard for me to say, right? Anyway, so we're going to probably be adding more as time goes on. But if you want to spend $1 a month, we'll give you an exclusive rank in the clan chat. It's a little bit of pay to win in game right there if you want that. Our $3 tier will give you an exclusive rank in the Discord, which unlocks a VIP lounge in the Discord where you can talk with other patrons, and we'll post maybe Patreon stuff, or it's just another area to talk in the Discord, but it's like a private room. You can also view on Discord the show notes for the upcoming podcast episode, and when we release some bonus content, you will get some early access to that as well. We have our $5 tier, which all the tiers we listed above, but also we will give you a special thanks in our upcoming episode. And then we have our $10 tier, which I honestly, I don't really know what we can offer for this one, because I think $10 a month is a huge amount. I think $5, I think $3, even any money is a large amount, right?
Yeah, I'll send you a dick pic. I actually won't. Please, that was a joke.
Yeah, don't clip that and be like, you fucking liar.
Real world trading.
Yeah.
Banned from RS.
Yeah, every account.
Yeah.
But our $10 one is basically all the rewards beforehand, but it's something that I'm going to be brainstorming over time to see what we could offer for that one as well. But it's such a large amount that we just had it there that maybe you're rolling in dough and you do want to help us be able to pay for this each month. Well, then if you're rolling in dough, go ahead and do it. But I honestly didn't expect people to actually go for that one, because it's crazy amount of money. Same with the $5 and even the $3, and $1 is as well, but some people can justify it a bit more, right? We will be doing some of the shoutouts because we did get some patrons with the release, and I was actually shocked by the amount of response we got from it.
Yeah, it was good.
So right now our goal is to get $50 per month, and this just allows us to cover all the costs and prevents us from worrying about the show and worrying about, can I afford to pay for this each month? Can I justify it? Will my girlfriend kill me if she finds out I'm paying this money for this podcast that I do? And crazily enough, we're currently at $33 of that $50 amount.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's unbelievable. I could not believe it when we released it and we got that much. And yeah, I just was shocked. And I really appreciate everyone who's supported us. Even if you can't afford to give us money, really appreciate the fact that we hear all the kind words from people in game and stuff that they like the show, and that's awesome to hear as well. So yeah, thanks guys. We really, really do appreciate it. And then we also have a $75 goal, which this one would be able to upgrade our servers on that website, which would allow us to do some bonus content. And some of the bonus content we thought of was having one-on-one kind of like interview styled discussions with other RuneScape content creators. I tried one in the past with a player named Dr. Toby Fox, who ran another podcast on YouTube for a while. But we did that when the show was going a little bit slower, and it was kind of fun to do. But it would be awesome to be able to release a new style of episodes alongside with these current ones, where it was like a one-on-one conversation with other content creators. There's tons out there, not just content creators, but different players. We have people who listen to the show that have really cool, like, I guess, a unique lifestyle, I suppose. But it'd be cool to just bring all these different people on to talk about it. And it's a different change in pace, and it's more of like a one-on-one. We're not going to necessarily discuss all the news that goes on, but maybe just talk to someone about what they feel about, the big changes. Maybe it's someone who plays Deadman mode all the time. How do you feel about these new weapons being introduced? You know how it is, right? But this style would probably be either Deagin or myself. It probably wouldn't be both of us, because I think it would be more intimate of an interview with one-on-one, opposed to like bringing another person and having the both of us here. And also, it allows us to have guests on without bringing them onto the show, because you add in these certain problems when you bring a third person on. Not like having the person there, but just problems with recording and scheduling and all that stuff, right? So this allows us another way of doing it. And other things like maybe first thoughts on brand new content, all that good and fun stuff. Anyways, we're not going to sit here and talk about our Patreon for much longer, but we will do some shoutouts after our Q&A segment. But we do have one more thing to talk about that is similar in topic, I suppose. But this one I'm pretty excited for as well. So this week, we got our very first sponsor for the show.
Steak.com.
No. This one is a lot more credible, and I feel like it is perfect for this show itself. So our new sponsor for the show is Audible. You've most likely heard of Audible before, but they are now offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. They offer an unmatched selection of audio programs, things such as audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, and entertainers. The reason why I'm so excited for this show to be sponsored by Audible, because I feel like it's straight down our alley. And if you're listening to a podcast, it'll be straight down yours as well, I can only assume. But anyways, the main reason why I'm so excited is because I'm a big reader of books, but that's not really the case anymore. I used to be when I had more time, but I don't find myself reading as much. And I try to read books, but I just find I get a few chapters in, and then I don't really touch it for a while, and then I'm forgetting where I am. I did that recently with a new book that I wanted to read. I love fantasy books, and I picked it up, and I'd bring it to work to try to read it, because that's most of my time I'm at work. And I would pick it up and read it, and sometimes people are talking with me and just preventing me from actually reading, and I would never get anywhere in the book. So then I bring it home, and I try to read it when I'm at home, but I'm either so tired, or reading itself is pretty isolating activity where you can't really do anything else. It's really hard to woodcut and read.
Yeah.
So I just found myself never being able to read. So I decided, let's try out Audible, and it's perfect. It's like similar to a podcast where if I'm driving or if I'm at work and I'm just listening to something, I throw one on, and I was surprised by how good it actually was. Because I knew they were around for a while, but I never really knew how well a book would translate to an audiobook. And that was my big worries, because since I like reading so much, I didn't want to try the audiobook, because in my head I was like, how well is it gonna work with somebody reading it to me? But some of their narrators are top notch. That's kind of why, why I'm excited to bring this. So if you do want to try out Audible, visit audibletrials.com/wild. WILD. audibletrial.com/wild.
Kind of rhymes.
It does.
Wild.
It does.
Works.
So Deagin, did you have a chance to try out any audiobooks this past week?
Yeah, so I do want to mention that, like, kind of like what you said with the whole like reading and stuff. I used to read a lot in high school, and then I guess like the more I got into like playing video games and shit, I kind of like slowed down, and like after high school I slowed down with reading. What I would do when I'm playing like RuneScape or something, I would have like either podcast, music, or Netflix going. You know, eventually I kind of like ran out of podcasts or got burnt out, and then same with Netflix, you kind of like ran out of shows on Netflix. So then I like supplemented that with like Audible, and I started listening to Stormlight Archives, which is like a fantasy book. Actually, I think I took like a bath last night too, and I like put it on just to like kind of chill and listen. And super good book. I really like that book.
Fantasy, you say?
Yeah. If you get like the free month and the free book, like the book I'm listening to is 45 hours long.
Wow.
So like, you know, you got some time to kill with that. Yeah.
It almost seems like by the time the 30 days is up, and let's say you do like it, so you get a free book each month.
Yep.
It allows you to kind of covers the month, right? 46 hours is long.
It's nice. I like it. And like, I haven't like, because I barely like gamed this week. So normally what I would like this week specifically, I was packing, cleaning, I guess bath and stuff like that. Even when I go for like a walk or something, I'd go grab some food, I would just like use Audible, because it's like, shit, if we're gonna like promote it, I want to make sure I like it. And it's really nice. I like it a lot.
What's your book about?
Without giving away, like, right, it's weird. So I'm on like chapter 4, I believe, and it's been jumping around a little bit. It's the first one, but it's like so, there's some dude shredding in like some sort of like it's really okay. It's gonna sound like super weird, because like I don't really like, I'm not too far into it, and it's still like kind of giving backstory and like ramping up. But like there's like this shit called Stormlight, which is like some like essence. Like there was like some assassin that was killing some dude at some point. Like, it's kind of jumping around. Like the story hasn't like really fully come together.
Yeah.
But like, there was some dude that was like shredding, trying to kill some king. And like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then it just kind of like cut to like some dude that's like fighting some war, and then he gets like imprisoned.
All right, so I have no idea what that book's about.
I don't like, I kind of do, but I kind of don't, just because like it's kind of like Game of Thrones. You know how it's like, what's Game of Thrones about? And you're like on the first book, on like the third. It's like, okay, well, there's like a little bit of like Eddard, a little bit of art. Like there's like 3 characters that have done some shit, but I don't really know what the book's about yet. It's like kind of in that same vein.
True.
So it's kind of hard to answer.
See, I love my fantasy books, and like I said, I was always looking for books to read, and then I'll get them, and I can never read them. So the book I was trying to read at work was called The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. And yeah, like I said, I just could never get anywhere in the book, but I was super interested in reading it. And the problem with fantasy books especially is that if you stop, it's similar to like if you play Skyrim and you stop playing for a month or 2, you get completely lost in the game. You don't know what quest you're doing. Fantasy books are the same because there's all these new rules to this new realm you're in, these kingdoms and cities you have to basically know.
Yeah, no one wears shoes for some reason.
Yeah, because the last king put a spell that burned. Anyways.
Yeah.
So I could never get anywhere with this book, and it seemed super interesting. So when I tried out Audible, this was my first book that I wanted to try to see if I could get through it, and to see if it would be able to, how it would compare to the actual book. And I was surprised because the narrator himself, he did a really good job at doing it. Some pretty cool voice acting. But what the book's about is there are people in this world that are called drafters, and they're able to use color. They can manipulate color and use magic with it. And basically the king of all of the realm is the prism, who can use any color to use magic. He can draft any different color. Whereas other people, they can only draft a certain color, whether it's green, it's blue, it's red, but the prism can do any color it's in it.
So it's like Avatar?
I guess so.
Last Airbender?
I don't know, but I never really watched Avatar. But it's pretty cool, and it's about basically some of the cities, similar to Game of Thrones, where you have the one king overlooking everything, and then you have the lords of other cities begin to kind of war with one another. Conflicts are about to happen, and the prism is basically capped on how long he can draft any color before, I don't know what happens, but something happens after 21 years, and the guy's getting close, and they don't know who the next prism is, because you can't vote for the prism. There's just one of them somewhere, and he has to get chosen to be the prism who can draft any color. Anyways, the audiobook is really fucking good. The book itself is awesome. So, yeah, maybe if you're in the same situation as us, give it a try. Try out audibletrial.com/wild. Again, you get a free trial of 30 days and a free audiobook. Anyways, we're going to move on to Q&A. Those 2 things we're going to be having in each episode, maybe not as long as that. They're not going to be as long in each episode, but since we're introducing it, we want to give you guys the full rundown on some of the reasons why we're doing this.
Yep.
All that good stuff. Anyways,
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Q&A, because a lot of people wrote in questions this week, and it'll be fun to go through them. So we're just going to go in order of how they were actually sent to us. So first was sent by Bully, and he says, when you guys started this podcast, do you think it would get this popular this fast and along with the CC? What has your favorite moments been with the clan chat in the last year? I think it's pretty fair to say that I at least I didn't expect this podcast to do as well as it did.
Yeah, I kind of just assumed 2-3 people kind of filter in and out, like through CC and stuff like that. Like, I really didn't expect anyone to like kind of stick around. And the little times I do jump on, like now, like this past week and stuff, I'll see like, you know, a good handful of people, like 20 plus. I don't really know.
It's like 15 to 20, which is...
Yeah, like I see a good amount, and like there's always like different names too. Like I see like a lot of new people coming in, and I'm not even going on like peak hours too. So it's like I'm always like, oh shit, you know, don't really expect it sometimes. But yeah, it's really nice. The main thing I'm actually like really surprised, like it's like we're like I don't know. I really like the community that we've actually like, built up.
Yeah,
in terms of like there's like a lot of people. Everyone's like really cool. So that kind of wraps like my favorite, like I guess, moments would be like going to the Reb Caves when it first opened with like a bunch of people, doing like bandos and stuff where we just kind of like mess around, like that typical stuff where we're just there just to kind of dick around and have some fun. one of Bully's giveaways where we went to like the draw party and we were all dicking around. That stuff's always really fun.
Is that the Falador?
Yeah.
Falador room? Yeah, that was good. There's been a bunch of moments. But yeah, I was pretty surprised how fast it kind of grew. Like, I remember it was like episode 3, I think. I made a Reddit post trying to pump up the show a bit, saying, hey, we got an Old School RuneScape podcast. Come check us out. And then over the course of the next week, between the episodes we had out, we got like 100 downloads between 4 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember just being completely taken back by it. Like, I was like yelling to my girlfriend, like, oh my God, check this out. We have 100 downloads. I'm like, she's like, holy shit, that's crazy. So it was really cool. And I didn't
It's over, babe. I've made it.
It's been pretty cool to see. I never thought it would kind of grow to this. I was like, yeah, maybe there's some people going to check it out because podcasts are kind of lacking in the Old School RuneScape department. So people are just by default like, well, gotta find an Old School RuneScape podcast. Well, I guess I have no choice. You know what I mean? It was crazy to see this and crazy to hear when people were like, oh, we want it to be above 2 hours. That's like I kind of was shocked by that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we can ramble on. No problems there.
Yeah.
And then favorite moments. A bunch of the events have been great. Like, as you said, that drop party that Bully had before. I remember there was a time where there was like 6 of us. We went to Bando's and it was basically a free-for-all. But it was like 1 a.m. and everyone was just like joking around and stuff. That was a lot of fun. I remember handfuls of times I'd go on Old School RuneScape, and it was probably a time when I'm supposed to be editing this podcast, but everyone's just sharing these stories. I remember they were sharing stories about getting bit by spiders and snakes and like their experiences with stuff like that. And I was bank standing and just talking in clan chat. Like, I wasn't doing any activities in Old School RuneScape.
Fun fact, I've been swarmed twice by wasps/bees.
That's pretty bad.
Twice.
But it was stories about like a brown recluse spider where it fucking rots your skin.
Damn.
We don't deal with that in Canada, so that's fucking horrifying.
Lots of wasps.
Yeah. Next question by The Dolphin. He asks, how did you both get into gaming? What was your first game, and how has it affected your lives for better or worse? So, how did we get into gaming? I almost want to say like we kind of grew up on it.
Yeah, some of my earliest memories actually watching you and our dad playing Super Contra.
I was going to say, that's probably the first game I got into.
And I remember being super pissed because I was never fucking allowed to play.
Because you sucked, probably.
Yeah, well, 'cause I was like 4. Like, pretty much like I can't hold a rectangle.
Yeah, I remember all growing up and having the NES playing, Super Contra and watching my dad try to beat the game and playing a game like Renegade, where it's just like thugs fighting each other and shit. It was good.
Really weird side note is I remember us going to the mall and getting Donkey Kong 64, and I was like shaking from excitement to watch you play it. I was like, oh, it's gonna be fucking sick. Ugh. And I don't even think I really played that game. I just watched you play it.
I don't remember anything about it. All I remember is I lent it to somebody and they needed to borrow that red chip that goes into it was like a RAM card.
Yeah, because like N64 like couldn't handle fucking Donkey Kong or some shit. Yeah.
So they borrowed my RAM card and never gave it back, and I could never play the game again.
Yeah.
Good times.
I think my first game I actually played was StarCraft Brood Wars. This is the first time I was actually quote unquote like I was 7 or 6, but I was actually allowed to like sit down and play for more than 5 minutes. Like, I was actually like able to go fucking play a game. And I was like, okay, and I like ripped through all the campaigns with cheats, obviously. Then I think you might have shown me BattleNet like online, and then I used to just like play so many different user map settings, and I used to play so much StarCraft back in the day.
Yeah, that game was sick. I guess a funny story about StarCraft. So our parents got divorced when we were pretty young, and we lived with our mom, but she didn't have a computer or internet. So we only had like the Nintendo 64 or the GameCube and shit. But when we went to go see our dad every other weekend, he did have the computer and internet. And I remember we would play StarCraft online, and we'd use the user map settings. And what we would do was we each get to play one or two matches. And then we would switch turns. Then I go on, I play 2 matches. But I remember when Deagin would go on to play StarCraft, I would run to the library to play RuneScape down the street.
Oh, yeah.
You go play it for 40 minutes and you'd come back and then Deagin would run down there.
I saw my first pair of titties through StarCraft.
Oh, titty defense?
Sexy mat or sexy turret defense or sexy siege defense. And it was like every time you cleared a wave, a part of the map would be unblocked. And there was like a shitty, like super pixelated like Photoshop of Britney Spears, like naked.
Yeah.
And I remember like I would make sexy map defense, and like there was a button like F. I don't know what F key was, but it would make your map black.
Oh, you would do that when the parents
So
walked
like when
in.
my dad, like, who are you up? 'Cause my dad, our dad plays StarCraft and stuff, and like I don't want to be like this kid's fucking 7 looking at titties. It's so like I don't want to be like
this isn't the StarCraft that I know.
yeah. But so he would like now turn off the map. But the way they had that shit is like to see any type of nudity. It like would be really easy, and then like you're gonna see your first nipple, and then the wave was impossible to beat. And then I eventually went, holy fuck, I can play this offline and just do Black Sheep Wall. And I like went to my own custom, like typed in, I was like, huh, that's what naked girls are. Look at all those pixels.
Well, it was actually different. I don't think Black Sheep Walls would have worked because it had minerals across the whole map, and it would make the whole map just blue, and then as you beat it, the minerals would disappear with each wave.
There was something I would do, and I would do cheats in user map settings, but like you could just like clear out all the nudes.
And how has it affected your lives for better or for worse? I would say it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Where I can spend a lot of time on this. Like, the thing is, I have a very addictive personality.
Yep.
So I can put a lot of time into video games, and there's a lot of great experiences I have with it. But that being said, sometimes I spend too much time on video games.
Yeah, same with me. Yeah, I definitely, like, probable, I guess this past week I can't really say it, but, like, that's the thing. It's been, like, a week, and I'm kind of, like, jonesing.
Jonesing for some video games.
Yeah. You got any of those videos? But, yeah, no, I think it's been, like, overall pretty beneficial. Like, I have, like, real-life friends. Like, I have online friends, too, that I've been talking to, and I've been really close with for, like, 9 years now. And I still talk to them daily and shit. Like my best friend is from online and all that stuff. So it's kind of weird that, how that's happened. So I think overall it's been a pretty positive experience.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And I remember, like, going to a new school. And this was, like, RuneScape, but going to a new school. And, you know, I was kind of an awkward person. But the way I met my friends was because I played RuneScape and he played RuneScape. Boom, I guess we're friends now, you know?
Yeah, it was actually like the same thing. Like, I remember going to a new school, being super awkward because this school I was going to went from, like, kindergarten to grade 6. The school is so small that when I was in grade 6, I was able to count. Like, we had a math class where we went and counted how many kids were in our school. Every single grade was like a 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, like they're split. So you'd have kids in both grades in one class. And it was like my first day, and I was sitting next to this kid. He was sitting with his twin brother. And what did he say? He was like, oh, I'm going to do like Black Knight's Fortress tonight. He said something about RuneScape, and I went, I play RuneScape too. Like, what? What's your name? And then whatever my RuneScape name was. And they're like, oh, no way, these are our names. So like, go home, add them. They're total noobs. I totally owned them at the time.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa, you're level 50? Yeah, I had members at one point. Look at my tribal mask in my bank when they came, like when I'd go hang out with them or go meet at the library. But, yeah.
I guess another way to kind of, well, it might affect it for the better, maybe for the worse, we'll see. But playing video games got me interested in doing a podcast, which got me interested in pursuing a career in maybe radio broadcasting in the future. So now I'm going to school for that.
Yep.
We'll have to see down the road how well that goes. Yeah, it's definitely, probably would not have thought about it otherwise. Next question by That's Johnny T. If you guys were stuck on a desert island separately, what one console or PC and what game would you choose and why? Love the podcast. Congrats on episode 99.
First of all, PC. Game, though?
Let's choose two. One that you gain internet access to and one that you don't.
Shit. I wish I kind of looked through these a bit more.
Just some research.
This is like all like, offline. You need something with replayability, because offline you need that hardcore replayability. So it's got to be a roguelike game, I think.
Yeah.
It's also got to be really hard, because you don't want to beat it too quick. Fuck.
So if I were to choose my online game,
you go first. You go first.
If I were to choose my online game and console, but I had access to the internet, RuneScape. That's a lot. You got a lot of time to sink in there.
Yeah.
So
and you can make other accounts too.
You can make other accounts.
You can PK.
Let's pretend I have I was gonna say let's pretend I have a credit card, but you know what? You just buy bonds. It gives you more time to be stuck on that island.
This is implying that you have good internet. Like, it's not like worse in Australia.
Yeah, we're thinking pretty good.
Yeah.
So definitely RuneScape offline. Here's my problem with video games. is I try to be cheap in life normally, and I'll find a game, and my girlfriend doesn't entirely game too much. She plays a few games, but normally my argument, she'll be like, why do you need to buy another game? I'll be like, this game, I can do so much in it. I don't need another game. I can play this game for the rest of my, not really, but for the rest of my life. I can play Grand Theft Auto 5, play it a lot, and then fucking, the new Fallout game comes out, and then I go think the exact same thing. This game's so open world, you can do so much with it. I'll buy this game, and I won't ever need to play anything else. It has all my needs there. And I say that over and over again. Final Fantasy 15, No Man's Sky, Monster Hunter World.
Yeah. Wait, did you say your offline game?
Can't think of an offline game.
Okay, so online, RuneScape, that's kind of boring though. If it can't be RuneScape, probably World of Warcraft, mainly because I have so many of my online friends that play it.
Online?
Yeah, online, yeah. Offline, a fucking hentai game or some shit, like one of those porn games. It's porn. You can't bring porn on an island, right? It's a loophole. It's a video, there's one.
True.
What's it called? Someone probably knows what I'm talking about. It's on Steam, but it's like bejeweled hentai. You get points, and then the girls get naked. I don't know what it's called. My buddy bought it for me. Haven't played it, I swear. But it's a loophole. It's like you get to play bejeweled, but then there's also some titties. So that's I'm gonna cheat and say that.
It's fair, but I mean it's only great if you're feeling frisky. If you want to play a game, I feel like
you play Bejeweled. Bejeweled's always fun.
I guess.
Now, if there's like a Tetris version of that'd be my favorite game ever. Tetris is dope, and then there's also anime titties. Find some. Well, this week, it's Neve.
Yeah,
Neve
true.
Fucking hentais been
That's right.
posting the subreddit.
If you haven't realized it, if you go on the subreddit, it's all just porn.
Yeah, it's weird.
Someone's unleashed the beast by posting one picture. Now it's just an influx of it.
Yeah, who would have thought a medieval game that we all played when we were 10 would lead to this moment? But in all seriousness, maybe a game like City Skyline, like a building sim game, mainly because there's this one YouTuber, I can't think of his name right now, but he has a YouTube channel where he only plays City Skylines and games like that. And he builds some of the coolest shit, and he makes them fully functional. Some are just aesthetics, and it's in general, I really enjoy those building, planning games. Those simulate RimWorld and Oxygen Not Included, all that stuff. Because there's a lot of replayability and whatnot, and there's a lot of creative aspects. You can get a lot of outlets out.
True.
So maybe something like City Skyline, even though, funny enough, I haven't really played the game that much. It's just because I sit down and go, okay, I got 20 hours is going to take to get to my goal. I kind of overthink and get a little overwhelmed. So I just I tap out.
I just load up my Steam to see what my most hours on a game was. And these are so skewed. It's because I leave it up and I don't play it. And I leave for the day, for weeks apparently. Because RimWorld's at 500 hours. Definitely don't have that much time on there. Skyrim's at 236. Maybe. Faster Than Light, 200 hours. No, I'm sorry. It's a great game, but no, it's not 200 hours worth. I'd almost go with RimWorld or something. Yeah, a game where a lot of replayability.
Yeah. It would be kind of cool, though, to grab a game that you could speedrun. And then, if you ever got off the island, and, clocking 6,000 hours and, I don't know, Celeste, just some, side-scrolly speedrun,
Microsoft Solitaire.
Something like that. You get, super good at it, and you, come into the hyperbolic chamber, go to SGDQ, and then get kicked off because you make one semi-offensive remark. I wouldn't be able to finish the run. I'd make some bad joke and get taken off stage.
I want to say RimWorld, but I know that's the problem. I know for a fact I'd get fucking frustrated and be like, why didn't I just take No Man's Sky? Why didn't I just take Skyrim?
Yeah. If there's any
You can't put a mouse and keyboard on sand. You know how hard that is? How am I supposed to use my mouse?
Yeah, the issue, it's one of those ball mice, too. Those old ones. You gotta, constantly clean it.
Yeah. Next, we have a little scam story from Lazy Cook, followed up with a question. This was before the GE. I spun enough bowstrings to buy a whip. Whips at this time, I believe, were about 2.5 to 2.9 mil. It was a ridiculous grind. This scam also required multiple people, so that's a little backstory. These shenanigans happened in World 2 at Falador Park.
Wait, sorry to interrupt. Is this 2007 Scape? Sorry, is this old school RuneScape or is this back in the day?
Oh, it's probably back in the day. I had just bought my whip, and I see someone trading whips for Guthan's plate bodies on one side of the park. Didn't think much of it, but come to realize someone on the other side was buying Guthan's plate bodies for 4.2 mil. 14-year-old me thought I was about to make a killing. Of course, I'm not going to tell this guy about the whip trader. I go and trade my whip. At this point, the adrenaline is pumping. I have the plate body, only to find out that the guy wouldn't trade me to buy the plate body. Only later did I realize I had been scammed, and the Guthin's plate was only 800 to 850k.
Yep.
I was standing next to a bunch of other people saying, trade me, and he got us all. I didn't make all those bowstrings at once, but talk about XP waste moneymaker. Never mind, I was probably 12.
Okay, yeah, so he was young.
And the question, is there an old school scam that has stuck with you guys? I remember one time, I got scammed so many times with those trust trades. Fuck.
I remember watching it scam once, and I remember thinking, 5, 4, 3, 2, and he's gone.
Yeah, it was bad. I remember, so this isn't really a scam, but I used to make friends with someone, and we would talk on the phone. If we talked on the phone, I was like, he's never going to fuck me over. You want my password? So I give him my password and username every time. Like 3 people I did it for. But one of them had screwed me over so many times. He had my password for my pure, where one time he was at the lesser demons, maging the lesser demons, and he was almost dead. He was like 2 health left. So I logged out on my pure, got on my main to go run over and to drop trade some food, and I get over to the lesser demons only to see that my account logged in from that other person. And then I was like, dude, you need to log off now. I need to drop food. He has like 1 health left. And then he just messaged me, oh shit, man, I didn't know, sorry. You can guess what happened. I died and lost all my runes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the big one that stuck to me was this guy one time took all of my items and then got on my account, messaged a real life friend of mine. I don't think he knew we were real life friends, but he messaged my friend and said, hey man, can I borrow like full rune from you? So my friend's like, yeah, sure. Gives it to him. And then I get on 10 minutes later and he says, hey, how long do you need that full rune for? And then I just told him, hey, I just got hacked from all my items. What happened? And he basically said, someone was on your account, asked me for the items, and I gave it to him because I thought it was you. And I was like, shit, you just lost your items too.
Yeah.
That was a big one. Another is like it was a lure that someone was trying to do to me on my pure, where my pure was getting a bit stronger. And I had a Robin Hood hat, and they wanted to buy my Robin Hood hat off me in the wilderness. And I knew this was a lure. So I brought it out there, and I brought like items to fight back. And the guy came out with the Gmail to spec me out. And I think I had a DDS or something, but I ended up killing him when he came to rush me. He didn't have any money on him, obviously, but yeah, it felt nice. You got any scam stories?
There was one when I was really little that trust trades and stuff. You know, that like the whole like the one time I got like, oh fuck. Okay, so I was really little, and what happened? So I was like hanging out in Varrock trying to like buy like Mithril Chain Body, who knows. I was trying to buy some shit, and I had full black, and some dude was like, yo, we're doing like a little trust trade thing. And so it was like me and like 3 or 4 different people went with him to the Romeo and Juliet house where Juliet is. And it was like, okay, everyone trades me their items. Whoever trades me the most amount of shit will win. Like, look, I have a rune full helmet. We're like, oh shit. And so like I'd go in and put in like 500 GP, maybe like my black like square shield or my kite shield, whatever. And then there's like one guy in full Addy, and like obviously it turns out that he's friends with the scammer, but he's like, last round to show what you got. And this dude like trades him full Addy, and he's like, you just traded me full Addy, like blah 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 blah. No one's gonna be able to top this. And I'm like, I gotta go all in. And I fucking gave him like my cash stack, my like full black, and he just like boop, popped off immediately once I gave it to him. And I was like, what happened? And he's like, you just got scammed. I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. And I just went like, I was upset, but I was kind of just like, I remember like, that person's a meanie, that type of a thing. And like, yeah, I was pretty fucking pissed. I was really little, but it was only like, I ended up getting like armor in the same day. I want to say that was like also when I learned how to, you know, kill stuff and then sell it, like kill hill giants and then sell their bones for shit. I don't know though. My memory's kind of fucked with that, but I do remember like being kind of pissed, but like it wasn't really it was full black, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't really a big deal. I remember trying to scam people. Actually, the account I'm on right now, Deagin, used to be, and Dilz actually went and got it unbanned, but it was like permabanned because I had a really silly name before Deagin. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys because I don't really want to get recovered, but let's just say my name's Poop Butt, because it was like honestly like it was Poop Butt. And what I would do is I'd hang out in Barbarian Village where like all the people were fishing and stuff, and I would like message people that would go to fish or that were like running around Barbarian Village, and I'd say like, hey, this is Jagex, and your account's compromised. You have to give me your password and log off immediately so we can secure it. But like Poop Butt is sending you this message. No one gave me their password. Got banned. I think I quit actually for like a month or two. Then Dilz was like, "You'll get unbanned," and then he just like put in a fucking like ticket. And then I had like 9.8 black marks, and they had that ban system. So I couldn't even be like, if I got reported for like swearing, I'd be permabanned again. And then another scam that I did with my buddy that no one ever fell for was you would like go stand somewhere with some people, and like if you typed in the right amount of O's and zeros, because zeros didn't actually like, this is back when zeros didn't have a slash through them. Zeros and O's looked identical.
Oh yeah.
But like it was like whoever types in the right O's and zeros wins money. And like I remember doing it, and like the scam just like, I don't know what, we were so young thinking that like we could get away with the scam, but like it made no sense, and like no one would actually trade us the money when they lost. It was really stupid. That's pretty much what that's it for my scamming stuff.
It's a rough life being a noob in Gillinor.
Oh yeah.
It's cutthroat out there. Next question comes in from King Bob 423. He asks, what drives the podcast?
RuneScape?
I would almost just say like all the people listening and stuff. You know, it's fun to do it every week. It gives you something to look forward to actually doing. And then I know that as the CC started like filling up, you're like, holy shit, these people are listening and stuff. You know, for a while the CC would be like just me in there. But you'd see the numbers going up, and you're just like, oh, people are downloading it. That's pretty cool to see.
Yep.
And I know there were a couple weeks our first year where we just didn't do it because we were just busy. And sometimes it's hard to get like motivated to sit down for 2 to 3 hours, right, to talk.
Yep.
But like this year alone, I don't think we've ever missed one. We might have recorded late or early, but we've kept going. It's just, I don't know, it's crazy to see that people are actually listening, right? So
yeah, I don't think I've ever had the gotta record. It's always like I'll be like in the middle of a game with my buddies. You'll send me a message. All right, time to record. All right, boys, I'm popping out. You just. And I just like, nah. I wanna if I can get this. Like I want to do this.
Yeah.
So I just enjoy doing it in general. Like I don't know, it's fun to like, ramble about like RuneScape and shit.
It's cool, and it's like it's fun. It's like it's fun to have a hobby, especially when I was at work every week, where it takes a lot out of me, and I never had time to. I come home late, and I'm exhausted from doing manual labor all day, and I just game and stuff and whatnot. But it was kind of fun to have a hobby that I looked forward and had to put all this work into doing. You know, it takes a couple hours every night. The reason we record on a Sunday and it comes out on a Wednesday because I'm just only have a handful of hours to work on it. It just takes a lot of mental energy to edit through it. It takes a lot longer than you'd expect.
Yep.
But it was fun to, actually have something to look forward to. And you're like, hey, this is what I do when I get home from work. Spend some time doing this. You just, little hobby. It's fun. Little passion project. So Weston296 says, since you guys mentioned 4chan, it reminded me of my favorite question of all time. Has anyone ever been far even as decided to use even go want to do more like?
Maybe.
Yeah, one time. Next question sent in from Melton. He says, what's your family's and significant other's perspective on what you guys do? There's a few questions here, but the first one is that one. Significant other, my girlfriend, she thinks it's pretty cool, I think. I don't think she cares too much. She's usually at work when we record.
Yeah.
There's been a few times where I had to like pause the podcast for a minute. Yeah, go upstairs and like, can you just keep it down a little bit? I'm recording. So it's gotta be kind of annoying, but she's pretty supportive of it. And family,
I have been given video game addiction books for Christmas. Yeah. So that's my answer.
Like we have an aunt and uncle that we're pretty close with, and they think it's cool, this whole podcasting thing. So, because they would ask, like, why are you going into radio broadcasting? So I tell them a little bit about this, and that was pretty cool. Do they know how avid gamers you are?
See what I just said?
Yes.
I was given video game addiction books for Christmas. Or maybe it was my birthday. It was one or the other. I still have them, though.
Yeah, it's always, you open it, thanks.
Oh, gee, I can't wait to read this.
I always wanted this book.
Yeah.
So is there an audiobook for it?
There probably is.
Yeah. I would say they know we're pretty avid gamers, mainly because we've done it like kind of our whole life. It's been like that hobby in the background, right?
Yeah, well, for me, it's been my main hobby, I guess. Hence the video game addiction book. So, yeah.
With significant others, do you guys wait to talk about OSRS or gaming in general?
I have a general rule. If I'm talking to any females, they think I stare at walls. Like, they're like, what do you do? Now, like Netflix and movies and stuff.
Meditation.
Like camping. Well, okay, you get home from school or whatever. What do you do? Oh, it's what everyone else just kind of chills, right? Like, kind of like Dexter them. Like, don't really give them an answer. And like, it's like instead of like murder people. It's like play RuneScape and video games. Like I kind of like don't really talk about it. But that being said, like I have a buddy like I play WoW with, and he's been dating his girl for like 4 years, and she doesn't know he plays WoW. He plays 2 nights or 2. He dedicates Friday nights and Saturday nights to raiding for 4 hours, and like she doesn't know. Like he just goes to someone's house and just like you know what I mean. Like I'm not that bad with it. Like
I wonder if like in the early on relationship she was like, oh my god, my ex used to play video games, and then he was probably just like, ugh, video games.
I don't know, because like he made an offhand comment of like, oh, my girlfriend's calling. And he's like, yo, pick it up. No, she's like, I'm playing WoW. And he just like, all she knows is that like for like a couple hours each night on the weekend, like he's just somewhere. Not cheating on her though, obviously, but like he's doing something. And I'm not that bad with it, but like I've had girls come over and stuff, and they're like they see like my computer setup, they see like a fucking big ass like tower with like a bunch of monitors and stuff. Like, oh, you you like the computer? Like, yeah, I play games. What games do you play? Oh, like
let me open up Steam right now and give you a little rundown.
Yeah. So 1,000 hours of CSGO I stopped playing 2 years ago.
Retired CSGO professional.
A global elite for the majority of those hours too, believe it or not.
I don't think anyone has any idea what you're saying. Like with my girlfriend in gaming, she's pretty cool with it. Like she plays a little bit of like League of Legends and stuff, and
yeah, she games.
Yeah, not a whole lot, but she'll play a bit. Sometimes I'll tell her stories of like stuff going on in RuneScape, and you just see like a deer in the headlights blinking blankly, and you're like, are you following the story? Yeah. Yes, I am following the story. And you're like, you don't have a clue. I'm talking about a video game, right?
So you got the Samantha good sword, Sarah Dahlman God sword? Yeah.
I'd be surprised with just that.
Yeah.
But anyways, he follows up with, I asked this because I'm married, a father of 2, and work a full-time job. When I tell people about my hobby or share, most react with negativity. What's your perspective on this? And I feel like it depends on where you're actually... Like with work, it depends on where you're working. I work construction, so you have a bunch of men, we go home, we eat pizza, drink beer, and watch sports.
Yeah.
Not really big in the sports. I was basically the nerd on site. There's always jokes at my expense about nerdy stuff. It was like, I didn't really care, I just kind of owned it. But you'd always see things, like I remember Pokemon Go came out, and there's this older guy who was like, something about Pokemon Go, and he was like, Dilz, you must be huge into Pokemon Go. And I was like, I don't really play it. Are you sure? You love that shit. I don't love every video game.
Yeah. Candy Crush? Oh, my coworker, he loves video games.
Yeah. But it does depend on it and like where you work. I have there's a few guys there that game and stuff, but there's this one guy that I work with, and every time I'm saying like I'm busy after work, he always like rolls his eye and goes, doing what? Gaming? You're just like, motherfucker, you go home and watch TV. If anything, yours is worse. But I think it really does depend on where you're working and shit, because construction, you're going to have the more stereotypical construction dudes.
Yeah.
That aren't really, you can't go and like, hey, who plays Skyrim here? Although this one time, there was a guy who does, this one guy who does like HVAC, like the heating, and he was like in his 60s. He was a big gamer. He was talking about how he played a bunch of Crysis. But again, he sees me and he goes, you play video games? Like, why does everyone ask me this? Yeah. Oh, I do too. Let's talk about it. I had this one guy that I worked with who was like a temp worker, and he said he was on, Luminosity's, the professional gaming team?
Yeah.
He said that. I don't know if I believed him.
I remember you telling me that, and then I like tried looking him up, and like I was like, is this his name? And you're like, I don't think so. Is this his name? I don't think so. He might have like played against him.
I don't know. Maybe like was like I don't know what it was, but anyways, I met him, and I have this tattoo, and it's basically just this girl with her skin. She has like robot parts in her skin, and it's like supposed to be like some futuristic female cyborg person. But anyways, it's on my forearm. He asked to see the tattoos. I show him, and he goes, you look like you play video games. Like, he said that because of my arm. And I'm like, the tattoo or the arm? He's like, oh, just both of it. I'm like, what does that mean?
And look at the forearm and your index to thumb muscle ratio. That's clicking. You do a lot of clicking. Yeah, I can see you play a little bit of consoles with that thumb. Yeah.
And I just like look at him, and I'm like, I mean, I do play video games. You're 100% right. But where does that come from? This isn't a video game tattoo. Is it my arms? Is it because they're like this weird type of scrawny and muscular that it looks like I can handle a controller well? But yeah, I do think it depends. For me, I just kind of owned it and just like rolled with it. Obviously, depending on who it is, on whether they're going to playfully joke about it or they'll be kind of a prick about it. But I remember one guy came in, and he's like a little bit older than me. He's like early 30s. And he was like, "Hey, Dilz, I saw this on Kijiji and immediately thought of you." And he showed me, it was a picture of a guy selling his RuneScape 3 account. And this was a time when I didn't play RuneScape. I was in between RuneScape and another thing. But I remember being like, why does this immediately make you think of me? Yeah. Let me see it. And then I was just kind of, oh, that's a great deal, dude. I know you don't play the game, but you should buy this anyways because it's totally worth it. You can flip it in the future.
Yeah. Well, the player base right now, maybe.
Yeah, but I think it's just negative because people see the stereotypical, like,
where's my asthma inhaler?
Yeah, the stereotypical gamer, when in reality it's become way more mainstream.
In reality, Fortnite's a thing and everyone's playing that shit.
Yeah, 100%. And, like, honestly, you look at the people in the clan chat and everyone's, like, fucking just the normal people, right?
Yeah.
You think of, like, RuneScape, everyone makes fun of, like, oh, playing 30 hours, you know, clicking nonstop. I don't want any increases to my experience rates because I want to spend 200 hours getting whatever. But really, the case is most people are casual people.
Yeah.
They work construction or trade jobs or whatever it is. They have, as you said, they're married. They have 2 kids. You know what I mean?
Yep. See, this is the trick, is you gotta convince your kids that only adults play RuneScape because every kid wants to be an adult, and you're like, you think you can handle this? All right. Okay, click those trees, and then you bank them there. Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And then, like, if that gets boring, then you, like, up it to Zara or some shit. You gotta like, make them, like, when kids play house, they're like, where's the laptop? I gotta go kill some Zara. That's what you want your kids doing when they're playing house.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like it's a little bit change in the culture of gaming.
Yeah.
People are kind of growing up. I remember people saying, you know, video games will turn your brain to mush.
I mean, in general, as long as you're not, like... I think most people would be like, oh, like no one cares that you're playing video games unless you're like, you go with, like, you walk into work with an old school shirt and like casual Fridays. And you're like, what up, guys? Sorry, I was up all night gaming, and you're being like really obnoxious about it. You're like, yeah, huh? What are you gonna do? I PK'd claws last night, huh? Like as long as you're not like being a fucking asshole to people. I don't think they really care what you do.
And half the time, the people who are going to, like, knock you for, like, playing games, it's usually because they're, like, pretty unhappy with their life. Like, I noticed the guy would always... Like, the guy I was friends with, but he would always kind of knock me for... Because he found I played RuneScape, and then he finds, like, oh, how grindy that game is. So he'd kind of knock me for that. But then, you know, I knew him pretty well, and then you realize how miserable he is outside of life. So they're kind of... Well, I want people, you know, my life's not sad. Your life's sad. You play video games. Yeah, but you go home and you hate your wife and you sit in front of a TV and ignore everything because you wait till... Anyways. So, yeah, it really depends. Next question from Twidtaker123. He says, what made you guys start doing this podcast in the first place? And I remember this like it's clear as day. I was at work.
Wait. How far are you going to go back? Because this can go back to, like, 2011.
What?
So you suggested to do a couple podcasts before. I still remember in high school when like League was huge. So it had been like 2011, but we were at our like mutual buddy's house, and we had a friend there. Well, I guess he was more of your friend than my friend that also played League. There was like 4 or 5 of us, and like we all hung out and just smoked weed and shit.
But we were horrible at the game.
Okay, you guys were horrible. I was gold 1, okay? They're all bronze. I'm gold 1. I'm the big boy. No, I'm kidding. I'm bad at that game too. But you're like, yo, let's do a podcast. And I was like, but everyone else was like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. And I'm like, oh no, we should not do a League of Legends podcast. It's gonna last like a week. Like, let's not do. But you suggested podcasts before, like with like what League?
I can just remember League of Legends. That's the only one I can remember.
Maybe camping or some sort of outdoors thing. Maybe something else. But I know you've suggested podcasts before, and I'm like, that would be really fun. But like, I know League isn't something I care enough to want to do like a podcast for. And I know League's like a temporary... Like, no one... Like, everyone quits. Like everyone has that bad game where they're like, fuck that shit, and they quit.
Yep, that's me.
But then, I don't remember... I guess you remember with the whole RuneScape thing. If you want to like start off from there. Then.
Mainly because I've listened to podcasts for years. I remember like I'm in high school and I was listening to them on the way home from the bus on my iPod Nano. I would listen to Screw Attack, if you guys remember that gaming website and YouTube channel. I don't know what the hell happened to them though. I should go check what's going on. But I've been listening to them for years. And it was
They're dead.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I always liked listen to podcasts. Whatever I'm doing or playing, I will check to see if there's a podcast for it. Like, literally, almost everything. And one day I was at work, and I got back into RuneScape again, and I was like, I'm going to go find a RuneScape podcast to start listening to. And I looked it up on Podcast Addict, which is this app I use on my phone that kind of connects all the podcast sites. Looked it up, and there was no currently running RuneScape podcast. There's 2 RuneScape 3 podcasts. They've been going for a long time too, but I could not find any that were going for RuneScape, old school RuneScape. I found a couple that were going that had episodes, but they
post like you guys probably have seen. Like, if you look us up, you probably see the other podcast.
2 episodes. Last one 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, and like I don't know if there's people. I honestly don't know if there's viewers that listen only on YouTube, like listen to us. But if they do, they can probably they probably know where I'm coming from. Where like there's other places that do podcasts, but they'll do like 1 episode this month, 2 this month, and like they're not really consistent, and it's just kind of like random. Like it's the same thing of like 8 people that just kind of get in and they just kind of over talk each other. They just like.
It's a different sort of content because the podcasts that I know and would listen to for years were always, for the most part, were weekly shows.
Yep.
It came out every week and that was their weekly show. So I was looking forward to when they come out. But Old School RuneScape didn't have that. They have some on YouTube and they disappear and the new ones come up. They do like 2 episodes over the course of a year maybe or a couple. And they're not bad, but they never scratch that podcast itch. And honestly, I never even thought to look up YouTube for podcasting. I just looked on the app, couldn't find them, and straight up, I couldn't believe that there wasn't an Old School RuneScape podcast. I was actually shocked because it came out in 2013. I think it was like 2015 when I looked for this podcast, and it wasn't there. And I couldn't believe it because I played a game called Destiny, and Destiny doesn't have updates that happen that often. They have DLCs that come out 3 times over the course of a year and a half.
They have DLCs that take away fucking content of the baseline game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yet Destiny had at least 2 weekly podcasts. So that's why it blew my mind that Old School RuneScape didn't have a podcast yet. Because this game gets weekly updates. You have a dedicated player base. Destiny has a much smaller player base. Barely gets updates, yet they have something to talk about every week. And when I played Destiny, I was listening to the Destiny podcast. Yeah, and then I didn't see it. So then I remember I messaged Deagin and another friend of mine saying, hey, you guys...
That always trips, sorry. Keep going.
No, I was going to say... And I messaged them saying, hey, do you guys want to do an Old School RuneScape podcast? There's not really any going on. And, it's kind of one of those things where I wanted to find something, couldn't find it. So I was like, okay, let's make it ourselves then.
Yeah. And then I remember you're like, let's make a RuneScape podcast. And I remember thinking like, This is another podcasting idea. But then you gave me the reason like, dude, no one does it. And then I'm like, we've actually been playing this game on and off for fucking like 14 years. And this is like, if we do a podcast, we could easily stick through with this. Like I like kind of always want to be an entertainment, like somehow in the entertainment business, whether it's stripping or like podcasting. But like,
those are the 2 on the table. Podcasting or
that's pretty much. But even then, with all the podcasting and stuff, I can't strip anymore because my body's like it's gone. But in all seriousness, though, like I don't know, I was like, you know what, this would actually be really fun, and like I like RuneScape enough that I can always talk about it. And even if I hit like a stint like this where I don't play it for like a month, I still go on the subreddit every time I take a dump. I still. Like, watch, like, Torvesta videos and a friend videos. Like, I still, like, always like to just know what's going on in the game. So, like, I was kind of like, you know what? Worst case scenario, like, if Dilz doesn't want to do this in, like, a month or 2, I might just continue it. But, like, at this point, it's like, fuck, like, when are we? Like, I don't think we will stop at this rate. Like, we're just going.
Yeah.
We have, like, more things we want to do. It's going really good.
Yeah, it is. And it's,
knock on wood.
Yeah, like I think back, I remember when you confirmed it, yeah, I'm down. Other buddy confirmed it, later dropped out. But anyways, another story for another time. I got super excited, and Deagin was about to start school, but he was a couple months from schooling, because this must have been in June when I asked him.
Yeah, and we started...
September.
Yeah, like just before... And probably episode 1 is probably like... Probably super echoey, but it's like, yeah, started school next week. It's probably like super... I know the audio's really bad, but...
It's pretty bad. But I remember, I got super excited when everyone's like, yeah, let's do it. I went ahead and made a YouTube channel, I think. I made Twitter, Facebook, did a bunch of research on how you even do podcasting, what things you need to do. So if you look at Twitter, it's like started in July, like 3 months, 2 months before we started podcast, because I was just so excited to start.
Funny side note, if you actually go back and listen to the first episode, every time I talk, you'll hear like a button being pressed, because we use Discord to like, well, I guess not anymore, but we used to use Discord to chat, but then we record like on audio software on our computers, and I use Discord. Well, I use push to talk on Discord, and I hate open mic, and so in my mind, I just assumed that like the program wouldn't pick up, but you can hear me key to talk every single time, and I have the keyboard. I actually brought it with me with the move. It's hidden somewhere, but you like, it's a really loud like blue switch. Guys could probably remember how loud the keyboard was. You hear these loud like clicks every time I talked. But yeah, so pretty well. To sum it up, there was no one doing it, and then you kind of have always wanted to do a podcast for fucking years, and there's no one doing old school, and yeah, everything kind of fell in line. It was like, that sounds great, it sounds fun, and it sounds like if you ever want to do a podcast, like RuneScape would be a perfect place to start. Infinite amount of content and drama, depending on which route you want to take.
Yeah, it's so easy, and there's like no other podcasts out there. So,
and even like you could just chat. Like if we decide to like chat about one specific thing, like you could talk about farming routes for like 5 hours easy. You know what I mean? There's so much to talk about with this game,
and it's such a long running game. So quickly before we finish up that question, I pulled up. I had an actual notepad that I was saving, but maybe my girlfriend threw it out. I can't find it. But like I said, I was super excited that I would before, like 3 months beforehand, I wrote down the whole format of the show. I ended up putting it into a Google Doc. So it says title, podcast format, date, Wednesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. Like I had a timeline.
It's side note, that actually might be the worst time to record, because it's like the update's coming out tomorrow.
It was just, I don't know. Ended up turning to Sundays. It moved a lot, but
yeah, I think we did change times like 5-6 times.
So I have segment 1, intro, RuneScape theme, cut to introduction to podcast host and co-host. 2, weekly update. The co-host talks about personal updates during the week, followed by update for the week about video games played, and then followed by RuneScape updates. And then the host does the same.
I think we kind of do that still.
Oh yeah, I know, man. We kind of set us in tone.
Yeah.
3, news, updates, and rumors. Any updates that have happened during the week, opinions on the update, dev blog, opinions, rumors on Reddit / community topics, opinions, hot topic, which is the co-host section, whatever.
Let's skip this.
Whatever co-host chooses, controversial topic, community discussions, opinions, argument on whatever topic, section open for the co-host. 5, Iron Man segment. That's how old this is.
Oh yeah.
Last week's challenge section, discuss any problems faced, co-host followed by host about issues faced, then walks us through his steps, anything exciting that happened, declare winner, announce final stats, decide next week's challenge, discuss foreseen problems and thoughts on the next challenge. Segment 6, giveaways, events and activities, talk about week past events / announce winner, talk about the upcoming event, and did I plan on doing weekly events or something? Holy shit, that's a huge undertaking. Then 7, emails, which I had promptly named it Post Bag from the Hedge, from the Posty Pete or something like that. Anyways, read emails, Twitter and Facebook messages. And then 8, plans on and upcoming personal events. And then any final words. 9, listen at the end for some of the ways you can keep up to the date with... then my plug. So Twitter, email, Discord, outro, and with outro song or song of the week.
Nice. There's some things that we've kept.
Yeah.
Some things that I haven't done.
Yeah. So there's
Hot topics. We did it for a little bit.
Next, we have a question from Chick, 2-parter. What are 3 things you could change about old school RuneScape, whether it be nerfing, buffing items, adding, removing things, and changing things in general, etc.? I do wish some of the balancings would come out quicker, like blowpipe. Even the ballista took such a long time for it to get nerfed when everyone knew it was a problem. I wish part of it is like, I wish Jagex would be swifter with their changes, because like a buffing and nerf, you don't pull it. But also, I wish they had the right vision for the game. Like, they might be adding in all these good stuff, but like, you can see it now where the whole polling system was because people weren't confident Jagex would be capable of making the right decisions that are right for the game. You know what I mean? What kind of game puts the players in charge of what updates they get, which is great.
Yeah.
But it also shows like a lack of confidence from Jagex's end.
I think a lot of it comes down to you can't blame us because you voted for it type of a thing. Because like that happens like every fucking game like goes to shit because of the devs. But like, or it's because the player base. You know, what if the player base demands something and then the devs follow up? It was actually a bad idea, but it's still the devs' fault. Like, I think this kind of like takes them out of the equation for ruining something.
Yeah, like so 3 things to change. One of them I do. This is a weird one to say. Sometimes I wish they would remove the polling of all the things, but only because it causes Jagex to have short-sighted goals and not long-term because they need to worry about getting the next content passed through the polls. They don't think down the line. But also because sometimes it might be a really good idea, but people vote selfishly on old school RuneScape, or Jagex has to not only worry about the content being pulled, but the way they word it has to be worded properly. Like most games, you look at like World of Warcraft and stuff, they have a team they're pretty confident will deliver the best possible game they can.
Yeah, but there are like some things that they do that the player base yells at. Like like I'm playing a lot of WoW recently. There's 2 things I've noticed very different between Jagex and Blizzard is that Blizzard will have some insanely stupid bugs in the game where like they reworked like how like items scale, so like people you have different like stats and stuff as you level. Blizzard did a beta for like for the new expansion, and they fucked up like how they scaled items, and like you couldn't level. Like you would hit like certain blocks, you couldn't even kill one monster because you're so weak, and people like reported it in the beta, and they didn't even fix it. Like blatantly like big bugs where like items were just bugging it. Like this expansion is super buggy. Everyone complains and reports them. They don't do anything about it. Like at least Jagex, like if there's some shit that goes down that the community's kind of like bitching about, like collectively, not like 1 or 2 people. Like the community for Blizzard was collectively bitching about these issues, and then they just ignored everyone. Like at least if everyone's complaining about something, like you get Mana Aiza, like said like this is blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like you actually get like J-Mon's replying to you on Reddit and shit.
I should say part of the reason why I say like remove the polling thing, but like sometimes if Jagex makes bad content or something's too strong, they take way too long to nerf it.
Yep.
So I wish they were like more just swift on things. I wish they had they knew exactly what they wanted from the game, but were doing the right game.
Yep.
It's weird. It's a weird one to say, but it might be asking for a lot. I don't know. What other things would I change? Adding or removing content. So number 2, I wish they had the and they might now that they changed the teams up, but I wish they had the manpower. Not only change the way skilling is in the game, because a lot of people complain that skilling sucks and that PVM is the way to go, but I also wish they had the manpower to also, while they're doing that, bring more end game content. Because I talked about it before, it really doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of PVM content. You got 3 things, basically. Raids, 1 and 2, Corp, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
But really, it comes down to like the 2 of them.
Yeah, I feel like there's like the 2 raids and then PKing.
Yeah, but PKing is like not even. It's not an end game content. It's just
like,
a thing.
But like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah,
exactly. I guess I'll go PK. Like, just like it's kind of like, well, fuck it, why not?
Yeah,
it's not like, well, I'm gonna go hunt salamanders. PKing kind of sits in that like anyone can kind of do it whenever. So like now it's technically you could do it at end game and it's still just as fun as like being a low level.
Yeah, but it's like easier said than done, right? Because with new end game content brings new weapons and armor. And if it gets to the point where you have so much endgame content, let's just say, like my definition of endgame content, you have like 7 raids, all giving good weapons. If things are steps higher, would Chambers of Xeric be considered endgame content anymore? Because now you have gear that's going to make it easier for you. You know what I mean? It gets a little bit complicated in old school RuneScape, but now that I'm a higher level, it does seem like there's only really 2 things to set your sights on. So it would be nice if there was like a bunch of things, more than 2 at least. You know, imagine there's like 3 or 4 raids.
Yeah.
And the third thing, there's like, I don't know, they're complicated because everything has their negatives, right? You don't want to do it too far, but you want it just right. Like part of me that bothers me that some skills suck so hard to train yet new content will be released for it, but they're worse experience per hour than something that's like level 30, like RuneCrafting. I'm not saying blood runes should be better experience per hour than lava runes, but it's weird that that's actually they have to think about, well, we can't have it better than a level 30 way of training it. Obviously, there's a problem if blood runes start giving way better experience per hour, but it's really when it comes down to agility, because it's so, I hate training it. I'm not saying like make it easier, but it's just crazy that the best experience is still like so low. It's just super demotivating to train sometimes, but I don't know, it's not that big of a deal. Another thing would be the 0.6 tick system. Kind of makes the game feel a bit clunky sometimes, and sometimes I learned that every MMO has to run on a tick system, but
every game in general has like a tick system. It's like how you like a tick is pretty much like getting information from your PC to like the server, client to server side.
Most MMOs run on a 0.3 second of a tick system.
Yeah, like FPSs, if it's under 60, it's fucking trash. Like CS:GO, people complain that the game is 60 a second instead of 0.6. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
there's
okay,
60 ticks in 1 second for CS:GO. Like, or when I play, like you play like ESC, like people pay extra money to play 128 ticks in a second. Like, like people are so like, I need that info ASAP, no delay, nothing. I want everything to be registered. And then there's like RS where like it's 0.6 seconds that causes like clicks to not register server side sometimes.
Yeah, it just makes it seem so clunky. Like, obviously, this is the thing. All my answers, I feel like, well, if you do this, it could fuck the whole thing up. The game might not be the same anymore, but there's just little things that sometimes it's hard to bring in people to play the game because they watch you play it, and it seems so outdated by how you click and then you like run, but you're not actually where you clicked. You're like, you move 2 spaces at a time when you're running. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though you look like you're at this one spot, you're not really there. Your character's actually there. But after learning that most MMOs run on a 0.3 system, it had me thinking, how would old school RuneScape do with that? Would everything feel smoother? It would give them more space to do all these new mechanics. Even though they've just started tackling these crazy mechanics with the new raids. I don't know. Those are probably some controversial answers.
Yeah.
Overall, it's pretty good where it is. I mean, but just nerfs wish was swifter, and I wish Jagex had a better vision and all that fun stuff, and wish the game was smoother sometimes. Didn't seem so clunky.
Yeah. My answer is 1. I guess first off, pretty simple. Have a safe PvP world, and that like it's kind of a 2-parter because they should take out a lot of the instances and private instances. So take out Kraken's private instances, take out Dagonoth Slayer instances, but to compensate, maybe add 2 or 3 new worlds that are safe PvP. One for America.
What do you mean safe PvP?
So safe PvP would be like a normal PvP world where you can fight anyone anywhere, but when you die, you don't lose anything. No food, nothing. So what that would cause is like competitive, like you could like, oh, I want to go do DKs. Every world's full. I'll go to safe PvP, and then like you gotta fight someone for that spot. Like if you ever play Black Desert Online,
that's interesting.
So if you ever play Black Desert Online, the games, the character classes themselves are very imbalanced, but it's also really balanced at end game. And the game is literally you fucking grind groups of guys over and over and over again. So there's some in that game. There's some group guys that are really really good at killing the monsters. And it's like, well, why doesn't everyone play that? Well, the whole game is PvP. You hit like a certain level, and then everything is, now you're always in PvP, and you can always die. So then there's other classes that are really good at PvP. And what happens is when you get like the end game content, end game grind, I should say, and you're limited to like 12 worlds or some shit. Like you're very limited. So what happens is you have a lot of people fighting over like 2 or 3 spots to grind. And it causes you to either, 1, I'm going to try and fight this guy, or 2, I'm going to try and outgrind him. I'm going to try and kill the monsters faster than him. So then it's like, well, this guy can kill the monsters faster than me. Can I kill him? Am I better than him at the game? Is my class better? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
It's the same thing with like RS for like Dagonoth King's perfect example. All right, am I going to go there? Should I bring like a Kodai instead of a Trident so I can Blood Barrage and Ice Barrage? Because that would give me a huge advantage if someone tried to attack me.
Yeah.
You say you're going to Bandos and you're going with 6 buddies free for all, and you're like, man, these groups of 2 and 3, these groups of 3 can stay here for 4 hours. They're taking these worlds. We have 6 people. Let's go to one of these PvP worlds and just fucking wipe them. Like, no one loses anything. It's fun, and like you're able to like fight over spots. Like, imagine watching some dude about to kill Bandos, and your strat is to like you have a scout. He's about to kill it. Let's all jump in, kill him, and then steal his drop and move to the next world.
Yeah,
like it would be really cool to see like weird shit like that. I think that would be really important. Like, I think it's kind of like good for the game. Less items being generated, but also like more of a competitive options, I guess.
Yeah, I'm surprised I never heard that suggestion before. That's a cool idea. I never really thought about it.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Second is better support system.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a good one.
Account security like wraps into that. This game has laughable account security. A game that like I talked about it before, but there's like literal like tools that also have. Here's a side note. You can click this and it'll automatically set the best options to hack someone on RuneScape.
Yeah. Now
whenever this program's open, this rat automatically takes screenshots when these mouse clicks happen to get your bank pin and shit. Like, you know, it's kind of ridiculous. How focused some people are on hacking and how easy it is to get hacked.
And half the time, in order to get noticed, you have to get popular posts on Reddit or Twitter.
Yep.
And a lot of that depends on what time you're posting at.
Yep.
Which is 9 a.m. EST, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
I guess the third one would be to change the idea or like remove their current, like the community's current idea of power creep because it's completely misinformed and it's literally, I bitched about it before, but it's literally the most counterproductive thing you can do.
Yeah.
Because the way the community wants to deal with power creep is actually how you make power creep really, really apparent. So like what we do now is we keep everything base 75. Like every item that's being added is like 75 range, attack, magic, whatever. Like there's like 80 items that like use the same benchmark of 75, which means if anything will ever be 80, like we're gonna have to have like put it in perspective, our next range weapon, which will be tier 80, has to be better than a blowpipe and or a twisted bow.
Yeah.
Like how good is that gonna be? Now if they made a blowpipe tier 85 and a T-bow tier 90, okay, tier 95, well, it's 95, like 99, like you have like less space to kind of grow, but also if you have, like, I'd rather have 8 items like that are currently 75 be 99 than what they are right now. Because at 99, it makes more sense to like, you know what I mean? They're kind of applying what it should happen at like when they're out of levels, but they're kind of like putting it at 75 so the community doesn't freak out. And 2 years from now when like tier 80 and stuff comes out, we're going to be like, yeah, rework all these items, let's move them all around. And it's just because we have like an artificial like it's like you're like a little kid, you don't like your veggies, and it's like here comes the airplane, and you're like, ah, fuck, I fell for it.
Here comes the tier 75.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, power creep.
Yeah. Part 2, this one's for you. What will it take for Deagin to start playing again?
A couple weeks.
Yeah.
Just time. Like literally give me a couple weeks. Gotta get everything sorted. I gotta get like a lot of things that are going. Gotta get a job and all that stuff. Gotta get like fully moved in and settled.
Once the RuneScape itch will start creeping back up to you.
Well, like I've had the itch this week though. That's the thing. And I'll go on mobile and I'll like dick around for a bit, and it's like I need my mouse. It's like I want to get settled in. I want to get like a job like set up. I want to have like everything going, and then I'll be able to like start playing games in general. You know, not instead of like play the PS4 for like 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Like, I want to actually like sit. I won't really be able to game that much for like a little bit. But yeah, just time. That's my answer.
Time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Y Dustin. This is another two-parter. First one, would you guys want any skills reworked in old school RuneScape? I think if any skills were to be reworked, it would be smithing. RuneScape 3 is doing this, but it makes total sense. Where it already has a 99 level requirement for a bunch of items, which is like rune plates and stuff. And you know how good it's tier 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really just become a skill you train for items to alch. So I feel like that's like, I don't know what you would do, right? Because what are you going to bring them down to require level 40 and stuff? Then it's a really hard one to rework. But that's like one of the only skills that are capped at 99 and they have been for years. So I think it's a pretty big one.
I wouldn't rework anything, honestly. I like them. Even like agility. Like I fucking hate agility. RuneCrafting is. I like that. I like having something that like I don't know. I like what all the skills do. I don't know. I wouldn't change any skills, to be honest.
Yeah, they all seem pretty good. I'm just like thinking if there was a skill that would be reworked, it would be...
Yeah, probably smithing.
Smithing, yeah. Because it's been like that for years.
Yeah, the main thing is that you can get so much... You can get like 450k experience an hour smithing.
Yeah, and plus, Runite sells for a shit ton of money, right? Because it alks so much. So you can't rework smithing without reworking a bunch of different things.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is that Runite bars will like kind of start to tank a bit. Like in general, like I mean, actually I lie. It's probably what? It's probably alk value right now.
Yeah, everything is basically... But like, if you were to rework smithing, you'd have to rework the way alking is, you know what I mean? Or there'd be a huge gold creep coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I didn't even think about that.
It's tricky. You have to rework the alk values of a bunch of items. Not with Rune, then you have to rework it with Dragon, right? Probably, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, at least Rune, you have to make it like fucking... Then you have to rework like every Slayer table, because there's 30 fucking...
Yeah.
things that like... Everything drops 30 pieces of Rune. Like you could Iron Man a whole set from like a dog.
Yeah, it probably never will get reworked in our game, and RuneScape 3 is having trouble figuring out how they're actually going to do it, right? At least from what I'm aware of. Maybe the health. I mean, health is just your health. You can't really work it, but get anything from it, really, right? Actually, you got 75. You can finally wear those other items, the Zenite.
Yeah.
The second part is, what do you guys think of Old School introducing new skills? Could Old School get their own version of Elite skills?
I don't even know what that is.
So
RuneScape 120?
Oh, like sort of, but like RuneScape 3 released Invention. And if I'm not mistaken, you need certain levels in other skills before you even start doing Invention. So it would be like a skill you can't train at level 3 right off Tutorial Island. You need to like get to a pretty high level overall before you start training it.
I think if they were to release a new skill, and I think RS3 makes this issue, or makes this like mistake, sorry, is that like, imagine if construction came out. Okay, that's a bad example. Imagine like fishing came out today, but like you needed to craft the nets. You know what I mean? Like they link new skills like directly to older skills. Like divination's perfect example. You like craft like mineable rocks that you place the GE and everyone mines it. You get free like if they put a new skill in, I would like it just to be a new skill. I mean, I don't really want one right now, but the closer I am, like the more like I'm not close to maxing, but like the more I skill and stuff, the more I'd be like, you know what? It'd be kind of cool to have like a new skill. The only issue is that the most popular suggestion is Artesian, which is the fucking worst. I'm sorry, but it's the worst idea I've ever heard, which is Slayer, but for skills. So if that's what people are leaning towards, like, no.
The problem is, if you look at every skill that's in the game, all the rewards that come from it, like things that they had to rework, you look at Herblore, you have to come up with all these potions, start adding herbs to all these things, got to add secondaries, right?
Yep.
Got to add all that. Slayer, it was kind of easy, actually. You just make it so you can kill these other monsters, drop these uniques. Construction,
Planks from logs.
Yeah, all these new... And before, we never had that many beneficial areas in the house, right? But we've had now there's like... You had portals and stuff before, but you never really had...
Well, now it's OP as fuck with the pool and all that stuff.
It's really hard. Like, you need to... It'd be a game changer, but like, how do you make it a game changer without... How do you make it add another element to the game? I've thought of this idea. It's probably a terrible idea, but it was kind of like a swimming skill. Now, I was bored one day at work, so bear with me here. You get a swimming skill, okay? And now there's like an Atlantis area. It's a huge area. So when you go into the underwater, all your skills go back down to 1. So instead of it being like, let's say you have 99 in everything, what it would be on your stat thing underwater would be 1/99. So it'd show that you're 99 thing and all that. And then you'd have to train all your skills again underwater, but there's different armors and different weapons. There's like a different type of rune that you can get from smithing and all that stuff. And the higher level your skills were outside of the water, the faster that you would get experience. But you could never get 99 thieving underwater if you didn't already have it above water. And in this, and then it would just unlock all these different ways of doing things, all these new weapons that could only be used underwater. Maybe you could bring some out of it. I don't know. And I was bored one day at work. You have like a raid underwater, and then you need to so you have to retrain all. I don't think they could add another skill because it's really hard. They tried it with sailing and summoning. They can't. That won't ever work really. And I don't know. They'd have to think of like what archaeology or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the only way they could do it is by releasing an area that either it had the skills there, but they didn't work in Gillinor. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like a mini game.
I honestly don't think it'll. I think it'll be a couple of years before we see a new skill actually have support. Because the issue is that if there's a new skill coming out, but it's bad experience like runecrafting or agility, people are gonna fucking hate it. But if it's like smithing or like 500k experience an hour, well now it's too fast and you're gonna be done in a week.
It has to have beneficial use outside of that skill
without being overpowered.
Yeah,
and it has to be a gold sink. They won't make a skill that makes you money. It has to just the way the economy is going. It has to be construction 2.0 pretty much. Has to be really good for the game, borderline breaking it, but like you know what I mean. Like it's got to be we have to like min max on how good it is, how good the experience is, and how much it costs. Like it's got to it has to be fast, has to be expensive, and it has to be good.
Like sailing was probably their best idea, but how do you have sailing come into the game without bringing in all these new items with, you know what I mean? Sailing would have to introduce a new tier.
Yeah.
I mean, invention, that one, again though, it's going to buff all damage rates and defense rates, because what invention does, from what I'm aware of, is it adds perks and stuff to your thing. Not a bad idea. But, like, hell, we can't even get a tier 78. How are we going to get something that buffs all the items? I don't know. You have to really think. And again, Jagex has to look short-term for all these things, right? You can't... There's so many things you need to keep in mind. You need to keep in experience rates, gold rates, just the skilling community in general. Then what about PvP? How's it going to work in PvP?
Yeah.
How's it going to work in PVMing? You know what I mean? It's a lot for them to take on. And I feel like I don't know how they could satisfy everything.
Yeah.
You can't just have an arbitrary skill, like...
Golfing,
yeah. Or imagine something like obsidian crafting, where you're going to craft these new obsidian items, and it's just... Well, why not put that in smithing? Well,
money laundering. You go to, different banks, and you have to launder money for the wise old man, because he stole from that one bank.
All right, move on to the next one, though. Next question is from TwitTaker123 again. He says, what skills would you want, if any, from RS3 and old school RuneScape?
None. Divination, gross, summoning, literally made me quit the game. Invention, yucky. I don't like the buffs and stuff.
I don't even know the buffs.
And it turns into dailyscape, so none.
It did a great job at reviving a bunch of items that were worth nothing, though.
Yeah, but I hate my dailies.
The sailing part seems pretty cool. I mean, I haven't got to it where I could actually try it, and everyone tells me you'll be extremely disappointed, but I like the idea of a player-owned port.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Dungeoneering is the only one I'm most okay with, and that's just because I really like Xerix, and everyone's like, you like Xerix? You'll love Dungeoneering.
Dungeoneering's fun. It's just more of a minigame than an actual skill. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
This isn't a skill, but they have a fucking awesome skybox. Where the hell is that weather system that they promised 2 years ago at RuneFest? They said there would be a weather system where Karamja might experience heavy rains and it might flood, Things like that, where it'd be snowing in certain areas or thunderstorms, but also it would release either a new skill or a new magic spellbook where you can manipulate what the current weather is to do stuff, whether it gives you buffs or... That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Next question from Antoine380. He says, in a podcast much earlier, you guys said you had the intentions of a podcast consisting of 3 people, but one of your buddies staked his bank and stopped playing. My question is, does he play? And how do you think your podcast would have been with him? And will he be on the show at one point? So actually, we did mention him earlier today too. Does he still play? Actually, so the last time I seen him on prior to this was in November. He came on for a bit. I have a feeling, though, he just staked a bit, and then I haven't seen him on since. Following question, how do you think your podcast would have been with him? I feel like it's better just the two of us.
Yeah, my honest take, I would be arguing with him a lot. I know I would have been like, no, you're wrong. I'm right because of this. There would be so many fucking arguments. I mean, I like the guy. We get along really well. I don't know. He wasn't really the biggest scaper. And the way he played the game. I mean, it's not that he wasn't big. He didn't play it for a long time.
Yeah, we were huge into it back in the day, and then now we're big into it again.
Yeah, we kind of got him into it. But the way he played the game, like I just didn't really agree with, and he'd be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then I'd be like, no, you're totally wrong because of this. And he'd be like, no, you're wrong because of this. Like, not like heated arguments, but I feel like if he was on, there'd be like a lot of like arguing. Dilz would have to edit it out. You'd just like, oh, for fuck. All right, I'm going to take a shit. Yeah, you guys suss it out.
Yeah. I do know, like, he wanted to PK a lot, so he made a 1. It's a pretty good account. He made a 1 defense pure, but the thing is, he would get on and literally just go to the experiments, the Frankenstein's experiments or whatever, and train there. And they're good experience rates to a point, but they're also not as good as they were. Well, you got sand crabs and shit now, right?
Yeah.
But you would tell him that, and you'd be like, no, they're not. Still,
yeah.
Experiments are the best way to go.
He refused to fucking PK until he maxed out.
Yeah.
That bugged me so much. Like, dude, you're not going to max out. You're going to get bored and quit.
Or find the duel arena.
Yep.
So then, he found the duel arena, stanked his bank, said it was the craziest rush he ever had, staking 200 mil, but he lost it. He was also very confident that he figured out a system on how to win in the duel arena, like 90% of the time.
Yep.
And you're like, no, it's always chances. But like, no, you don't understand. I figured out how the pit system, I know a way you can like manipulate it. And you're like, that's not true. That's not how that works. I'm telling you, I win 90% of the times because of it, except for this one time where
I lost everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you technically won 0 times because you have nothing.
But I also think it's just easier to do the podcast with 2 people instead of 3.
Yep.
Less worrying about talking over each other. It's like it's a bit of a skill. You know what I mean? With 3 people, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. And like, dude, these go on long enough. Imagine adding like an extra 30 minutes, 40 minutes, hour. Like,
and will he be on the show at one point? Maybe if he starts playing again. I saw him plop on. I don't know how long he was on because I only noticed he was on because he logged out, and I saw that. If you ever see a random name with a ranking in the clan chat, and you might not recognize it, it might be him.
Yeah. Next
question from Own. With the noticeable burnout for both of you recently, do you feel the podcast and Wild Boys in general are keeping you around more than OSRS itself? That's a yeah.
A bit. Like, even when I didn't play, like, I'd always, like, look at the stupid memes and stuff, like, on the subreddit and whatnot. So, like, I've always, like, since I first got into, like, old school, I've always kind of, like, just kept my eye on, like, the game and what's going on and whatnot.
This one's more specifically for, like, the podcast and people who listen.
Yeah, I mean, there are times where I, like, do specifically log on just to, like, see who's on and, like, chat with some people in the CC. So, yeah, I do think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I'll look in the Discord and see everyone, like, chat and, like, PK, it's like, fuck, kind of want to join them, but not right now because I'm in the middle of something.
Yeah, like, normally when I'm bored after work, I might have tried to find a different game to play if I'm not feeling RuneScape, but I'll still hop on and Fletch just to chat with people and check out the Discord and whatnot. Like, the Discord is pretty active, and I always get, like, notifications on my phone, so I'm always checking it throughout the day when I'm at work and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of the times when I'm doing something, I might be doing a raid or doing some PVM or the odd time I'll PvP and stuff. But normally I would burn out at some point, and I would just not look back at the game for a couple months, and then I'd come back and see what's up.
Uh-huh.
But this time around, I just slowed down. I might be playing other things or doing other stuff, but I'm still paying attention to RuneScape, yeah. So I definitely think the podcast and the Wild Boys and Gals make it a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Next question, Penance Hunt. At what point did you both realize the podcast had surged in popularity, and what do you think was the cause for this? So I know.
I don't.
There's 2 times that made me go, whoa.
The only thing I think of is, like, maybe raids and maybe Infernal.
Well, I have a feeling once I mention this, it might trigger something in your head a bit more.
Okay.
I was on the subreddit once, and I made a comment. I like to just comment on the subreddit when I'm at work and stuff, and you come back, see who replied. But I made a comment. My name on the subreddit is not the same as, it's not Dilz, but I would have as my tag was the Wilderness Podcast or something, so that if you're on mobile, you'll see it, or if you just click the flare, you'll see that. Anyways, I said something, and then someone commented, "Hey, Dilz," and I was like, whoa. It, like, kind of took me back for a moment, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like, huh, that was weird. And then the other time was, there was another subreddit that was going pretty strong. It pretty much died out, called Old School RS. But it was good for discussion, so I'd also go on there to discuss things. And I remember somebody made a post being like, what's a good podcast to listen to? And then the top comment was, oh, the Wilderness Podcast. And I was like, wow, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So those 2 times.
Yeah, see, I don't look at the numbers like Dilz, because Dilz is like the one that uploads it and goes through all the data and stuff. I just kind of talk, and that's it.
I know a few times you've been recognized in game.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I usually screenshot it. I have a couple screenshots. It's always fun. But
so yeah, those 2 times you kind of stumble across it when you're not like, you know what I mean? I'm just at work and you see it and you're like,
yeah.
Whoa, nice.
Like, I only know when we surge, like, when we get, like, a spike is when, like, Dills will go, yo, like, we got this much, like, this much this month. And I'm like, okay. Cool. Yeah, like, I don't know. We could have, like, 10 listeners or, like, 200 or, like, 1,000. It's still the same to me, I guess, because I don't look at the numbers. It's kind of like, it's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And the cause, yeah, like, I would honestly just assume that, like, new people play. Or, like, let's say, like, you know, mobile comes out and someone's like, when is any podcast? And then there's, like, one that comes up. I'm like, all right. Like, I don't think there's anything like Dilz and Deagin get into some crazy controversy and it's, like, on the front page and everyone's like, no way, steak.com. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it also comes down to if you look up a podcast, there's a bunch for old school that come up, but none of them have uploaded in years. But, like, maybe ours will pop up and you see, oh wow, 80 episodes and the last one was uploaded 3 days ago. This one's still kind of going. That's interesting. I feel like podcasting satisfies a certain type of entertainment you're looking for. It's great for when you're at work, maybe at the gym doing housework, or you're driving. And YouTube videos can't always do it. Even like the Jagex Q&A, the Twitch streams are all right. Like, they're good because it's mostly audio you're listening to, but it's still the fact that it's a Twitch stream. You know what I mean? You're missing a bit. You might not need to listen to it or watch it, but so I feel like when people are looking for a podcast, the ones, if you can't, it's hard to find a video on YouTube that you're gonna go, this will do the trick.
Yeah,
I'll watch this guy's PKing video, and you know what I mean. You're gonna have to watch some of it. So I feel like people are like, there's no other podcast going on. You're kind of forced to listen if you want to listen to a RuneScape podcast.
Yeah, we've cornered the market.
Yeah,
take out our adversaries one by one.
That's it. One pop. There's a few that actually have popped out that I'm just like, oh, cool, I gotta listen to them. And then I'll listen to them, and then 2 weeks later, they stop posting.
You go, we're not allowed to make any more episodes. This is our last one.
Something came up. And you just hear me in the background. Yes, good. Send me your microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the odd ones that pop up in 2 episodes. It's the same idea that happened in the past. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why people just give up.
It's a lot of work.
I guess, but fuck.
I think, I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. It's just a lot of work.
And then, finally, the final question from Color Eyes. What are some silly things you believed as a kid when you played RuneScape? For example, I had a friend tell me that the gods Sarah, Guthix, and Zami had a chance to spawn in the wild and destroy you out of nowhere. It made me scared to go into the wilderness. My first thing, it's not really believed. Well, maybe it is a bit, but I used to get gear confused with dragon all the time. I wouldn't be wearing it, but I'd see someone else wear it. I'm like, that must be dragon. That's this dragon I hear so much about. So the first one being, me and a friend PK'd someone in the wilderness when we were like level 20. We killed another level 20, and he dropped an anti-fire shield. I was like, oh my god, dude, we got a dragon square shield. This thing, even though it says anti-fire, but I'm like, it's the same thing. We can probably sell this for so much money, and we're loaded. Wow, we were so lucky. So we were pretty shocked to learn that wasn't the case. Another one was the fucking Castle Wars ornament gear. Not the ornament, but the decorative armor, the red and blue.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was what dragon was. I'd see people with it, and I'm like, dude, that's dragon. That's so sweet. And now I think back, that would look so dumb if that was what dragon was.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything that, like, I believe, because, like, I just knew not, like, I was like, a baby with, like, object permanence issues. Like, I would just, like, see shit and be like, whoa, that's cool, and then, like, move. Now I'm, like, I left Varrock and I'm in Barbarian Village. Wow, that's pretty cool. Like, I just, like, how do I get to Varrock now? I don't know. Like, if I wanted to, if I wanted to Lumbridge from Varrock and I was a low level, there was no home teleport at the time. I would bank everything and then go to the Dark Mages and intentionally die. And then if I wanted to go back to Varrock, now I want to go back to Varrock for some reason, I would go all the way to Draenor Manor and then go to Falador and go all the way around. But then I found a shortcut, which was I can go from Draenor Manor up to Barbarian Village. I could cut out Falador. And then eventually I learned there was a shortcut around. Like, I just, like, literally, I was so young and just stupid. I didn't really, like, assume. Like, I just kind of, like, clicked and did shit. Like, I guess I thought there was only one way to Varrock. I guess that was my thing. I didn't really know. I thought 1K was the same as 1 mil for, like, a couple hours when I had my first 1,000 gold.
I remember a big myth in the day, and maybe this was common amongst a bunch of people, but thinking fire giants would drop dragon medium helmets.
I mean, they can technically. It's just super, super rare.
It's on the rare drop table, right?
Yeah.
But I thought it was just one of their drops. And I remember camping them all the time in a bunch. I had a friend who's like, I camped there for a week and I finally got one. Because they're worth like 1.5 mil or something at the time. And that was like, bang, you were loaded if you got that. But I just remember people saying, yeah, like I'm camping here until I get it. And, thought that it was on their drop table, which wasn't the case. Looks like that's it for the questions. Thank you so much for sending them in. I hope I didn't miss one, but I don't think we did. Which means we're going to start wrapping it up. So before we get out of here, though, now that we do have our Patreon, I do want to give a special shout out and a thank you to certain people. So we got like we said before, we got a huge amount of support and can't thank you guys enough. It is unbelievable. But part of our tier reward, a few members get an extra special thank you. So our special supporters of the week are Melton, Color Eyes, Meat Lord, and Antoine. So thank you guys so much for supporting us and directly helping the show. With school coming, there might be some changes, but you guys really are helping us basically keep the show going as is and not having to worry about, do I have to downgrade the service? Do we have to start time capping the shows, basically? So thank you very much again. I'm very grateful and appreciative. I'm pretty shocked to see this much support this week. But we got one more shout out to another very special supporter from Penance Hunt, who was crazy enough to pledge $10 a month to us. I didn't even want to add that to because I felt like it was way too much money, but fuck. Thank you for supporting that much money. So you guys are really helping the show. I already said it, I'm just rehashing it. You guys are really helping us, do this, and in the future, hopefully we can expand and do some other things. And when we do, thank you guys for doing that. But also thank you to everyone else who supported as well and pledged some money. It's I want to say it was overwhelming, but it was shocking. I guess I just was surprised. Anyways, we'll move her on to the part. I'm getting pretty tired. This one I'm pretty long. Let's get to the closing of the show. So if you guys do want to support us, it is patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. Our in-game clan chat is WildCC. Our Twitter is @TheWildernessRS. Our Facebook is facebook.com/The Wilderness Podcast. And our email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. We have Discord posted on Facebook and Twitter. You can click that and it will bring you right in here. And Deagin's got some things, I believe.
Twitch, Twitter, Deagin RS.
Nice. Yep. Do you have a song you want to request this week?
OSRS Melody? Mellow? I think it's called... Is it Mellow, or is that like the trap version of it, what it's called?
Oh, interesting. Okay. So this song is unlocked upon entering the fishing guild. Of course, level 68 fishing is required to enter the guild, and it was composed, of course, by Ian Taylor. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening and being here for the journey to maxing out our podcrafting skill.
And have a good one.
Yeah, take care, guys. Next week, the triple digi.
Oh, yeah.
And second year birthday.
Yeah.
We'll have a survey for you guys. Anyways, bye. Take care. Thanks again.